Media Group station, live from the Comcast Business Studios. 97.5, The Fanatic. Now, the John Kincade Show. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Everyone be careful out there. It's going to be a messy morning. For those of you staying at home, maybe watching on YouTube, maybe listening on the app, getting your first pot of coffee on, we appreciate you being with us on this stormy Tuesday. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. Bob said a word. It might be the word of the morning to get things started today. I said, last night was a really, really good night of local sports television. And Bob goes, it was perfect. It's perfect. That's a perfect night. And what the Flyers continue to do, they now rattle off their fourth straight win after winning 5, losing 5, going to the All-Star break, looking like the wheels had broken off them. Now they're storming out of the gate, 8 points up on a playoff spot. And then the Sixers, 11.5-point dogs they closed on. And I didn't even have the guts to take them with the points last night on my BetParks app. I'm disgusted with myself at that, the kind of effort we saw last night. 2 exciting games, 2 games where both teams showed a ton of grit. Flyers showing the comeback, Sixers just showing. Looks like some of the new acquisitions, Bob, to me, just this is my opinion, look better than the guys they replaced. If the guys you brought in look like you can get more out of them in a game when you need to try to win a game. And that was a big win last night at Cleveland. Cleveland's been playing great basketball. They're the 2 seed in the East. That was a nice win and maybe a little bookmark for later.
Yeah, it was like a day at school without the regular teacher, like substitute teacher, right? Guys are getting starts that shouldn't get starts. You're missing at least 2, maybe 3. Well, definitely 3 starters. New guys are coming in, trying to learn each other, trying to learn what the system is all about. And you get a pretty, evenly balanced performance from the Sixers last night. So more than anything, yeah, the grit of it, just hanging in the game, a nice defensive play at the end by Paul Reed. That was a good win. That was a really good win. It goes from I said this to myself last night. It goes from a backslapping game of, all right, good try, we almost won, good effort, pat a guy on the back, to that's a really good effort, a double high five. You walk off the court doing that. So I did like what they did last night. The reason I said it was perfect, and maybe somebody out there, a few people out there had the same experience I did. You know how it is when you have the remote in your hand and you're watching games or you're at a friend's house and all. You guys have the perfect timing. You know when to go to break. Boom, here comes a commercial, bang. You go to something else. You know when the other commercial's up. You go back to it, bang. Perfect timing. It drives our wives crazy because they're like, how do you guys just know how to do it? Last night was perfect. Sixers would go to a timeout, go to the Flyers game. Flyers go up and down the ice, good action, boom, score. Go back to the Sixers game. Sixers would go on a 10-2 run. Timeout, Cleveland, go back to the Flyers game, a goal by the other team. It was just everything worked out perfectly as far as the remote went last night. That's why I called it a perfect night, John.
Back and forth. And honestly, this was I don't want to use the word gauntlet because that was used during the Eagles season, and we saw how the back end of that gauntlet turned out. But this was a 6-game gauntlet for the Eagles, for the Sixers, similar to what the Eagles faced. And that's a big win last night to get that one on the road because now 4 of the next 5 are at home of these really, really tough opponents. And you just, again, you have to continue to tread water. You just have to find a way right now to stay out of that play-in tournament because I had a gentleman email me last night, Bob, and I wanted to say Drew Diff sends along an email. Diffenderfer. How about that one? That is a difficult name. Right. But he just calls himself Drew Diff. He says the Hield is playing a role in this team that was before absent. Payne is a better option to be able to play long-term in a game than Pat Bev. And he said, look, if Joel comes back with a healthy Joel, Nick Nurse, and this deep team, why does this team not have a shot regardless of seeding? I can't ignore seeding. And maybe I put too much on it, Bob. Maybe I put too much on the idea of seeding. But yes, a few years ago, yes, we saw Miami come out of the play-in tournament, make it all the way to the finals. But to me, I do think staying out of that initial play-in tournament, and by the way, would also give Joel Embiid an extra 4 days, 5 days of rest leading into the postseason. So it just gives you more of a buffer to get everybody ready. I think avoiding that first play-in is extremely important for this team right now.
Yeah. It's so far down the road that I mean, God, looking at seedings and matchups and all that, I'm not there. I can't. I don't get there probably until game 70, 75, something like that. Couple weeks to go in the season. But I'll tell you, excuse me, it is interesting when you think about if Embiid gets healthy. Talking to Daryl Morey yesterday, I still think it's at best 50-50 that he comes back. But, you look at Buddy Hield and what he can do and the outside shots he can make, and he can score and he can facilitate. Like, he's just a good basketball player whose best asset is probably scoring. I'm not saying shooting, scoring. And his shooting is really good. But you think of a starting lineup, if all playing well, Embiid, Harris, Maxey, Hield, and Batum. That's interesting with the Anthony Melton coming off the bench, with Kelly Oubre coming off the bench. Some of the guys that you're looking at now, Campaign. There's some stuff there. It's interesting. At the most, it's very interesting. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. I just never have seen a run like this of sicknesses, of injuries. Like now, all of a sudden,
Tobias
Harris has like a thing going on.
What's going on?
D'Anthony Melton has been gone for like a month or something. What's up with Nick Batum? I understand he's 35 years old, but when are these guys coming back? Because in all honesty, we can look at those guys and say, oh yeah, it's just Nick Batum, he's just a piece and all that. It doesn't matter if Joel Embiid comes back and you don't have a Batum and a Melton and all those guys, because if the Sixers are going to go anywhere, you need everyone healthy. That's the only thing that might make this team interesting.
Pat, I was trying to think of the last time that really in Philadelphia we were in remote control flipping mode where everybody was getting sort of engaged, where the Sixers and Flyers both were able to engage the fan base locally. I guess it was maybe 2020 because the Flyers, that Flyers year that was 2020.
Yeah, that was like that weird round robin thing. I don't know. It's been a while. Like even that was like kind of fugazi when you look at it.
Because of the way the tournament
it was just it was post COVID but it's pretty rare that you kind of have both teams at this point gelling at the same time. Or at least as you said, kept them engaged because the Sixers. We talked about the February slate of games and. I didn't think they'd win another game for the rest of February, and they went out and proved me wrong last night, which is awesome. So good on them, and to have some of the key pieces like Cameron Payne drop 15 off the bench, it was a nice ability to see the newer guys kind of flourish a little bit because they were really led by Buddy Hield and Cameron Payne. I know Kelly Oubre added 24 points, but you got some key contributions from the newer guys, and for somebody that didn't really like the deadline. It was nice to see.
Look, as much as everybody loves Pat Bev and they enjoy the podcast and they like the leadership and everything, Payne's a better player. Payne is a better player.
I go back
to use.
Why did Milwaukee trade him for Pat Bev and they gave a second round pick?
Because I think they have a screwed up locker room.
I mean, maybe.
I think
maybe
that's what Doc talked about it after the game last night. As far as you got to get guys to buy in. You have to get guys to be able to think. You bring in a guy like Pat Bev, he gets everybody to buy in.
I'll question any move that takes place between Boston and Milwaukee of what's the catch? What's going on here? I mean, look, it's one game, and yes, Cameron Payne looked great, but I'm not ready to just solidify this as a win for the Sixers.
That's not one game for Campaign. I mean, he can give you more minutes and more quality minutes.
Okay.
Than Pat Bev.
I hope you're right. Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right.
I mean, is that outlandish to think that Pat Bev's not giving you what Campaign?
I think they're different players. Like one's a defensive, defensive guy, and one's an offensive guy.
Yeah, but you need right now. They need scores. This team needs scores.
Need defense.
Yeah, they need a lot.
I don't think they. I think they've just written that idea off.
Wow.
I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, they needed scoring. And you pretty much have to write off. This team's just not going to be. It's not going to be well well constructed.
Yeah, their defense is not very good, especially on the perimeter. And then when you throw in that their rebounding is suspect too, man, you get against better teams, that's going to bite you in the ass. So, the whole thing is just keep your head above water until whatever happens. And last night was that was a really good win for them last night. They needed that.
Did you take it away yesterday that there might be a buyout of a big man yesterday from hearing Daryl Morey? We hinted around that there was other, hopefully some other moves that would come.
I think that the key word there is hopefully, yeah.
He's hoping somebody puts somebody out on the block.
I didn't get like, oh my God, he's got something in the back pocket. I think like you said, hopefully.
Why did Chicago keep drumming?
I don't know. I don't know why teams do what they do.
What would be the reason of not moving on?
Some teams don't want to show the sign of giving up. It's one of the few bright spots that they have. Maybe for their future, he's backing up Vucevic now, and I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It just seems strange to me that they didn't make that move.
I remember talking to GMs and coaches and asking the same questions on different players, and then being like, "Yeah, I have no idea." No idea what other teams are doing. So I'm not even going to venture a guess.
And I guess, too, it is part of the illusion of what you give your fan base. Are we quitting? Are we giving up?
Sure.
Are we, that is important. You're trying to give the image that nothing about you is quit. So, and with the Flyers last night, another big win over Arizona. You heard it on MMR. The Flyers now, interesting number two. The Flyers in a very sort of strange dichotomy when you look at the other teams in the NHL. The Flyers are 10th in team defense right now. So as far as giving, which is really, really good across the whole NHL. And they're 10th from the bottom in goals scored. So they sort of are in that lopsided zone where both of them more move towards the mean. They have the defensive job they've done, Pat, I think it's pretty incredible.
They've gotten better
with the roster.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a pretty good defensive club, and now they've sustained it through 54 games.
Yes,
you get a sample size.
Yes, they're much improved, which is the whole kind of sticker tag on a Torts team is you're going to block shots and you're going to get in the way and you're going to be a defensive structured team. And if you're not going to be here.
You're not going to play.
That's why you saw Tony DeAngelo pack his bags and leave. And I expect a couple other guys maybe to be going after this year that aren't that great at defense. But, look, mistakes were made by the previous regime and they're getting cleaned up. And you're seeing the fruits of their labor currently with this team.
Getting cleaned up fast, though.
Yeah, it's faster than anyone expected.
And Torts, I guess Tocchet is sort of the leader for Coach of the Year.
Oh, he is absolutely Coach of the Year.
He's done an amazing job with the Vancouver Canucks. But, I mean, Torts has got to be right there in that discussion.
I mean, it shouldn't surprise anybody that
Tortorella's
because he's a Hall of Fame coach.
Right.
I still, while it shouldn't surprise people, it does because you saw how disinterested the team was. I mean, 9 months ago.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that Swedish goalie has a little something to do with it too. My God.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you.
That kid impresses me more and more every time I watch him, and it's just there was like a scramble last night late in the game, and puck goes off his glove like a bouncing puck and all that. They wind up scoring a goal, but he was just in the perfect spot all the time.
His mechanics are great.
It's like it reminds me teaching basketball when I was younger. You tell big men all right, just keep the guy as he does his post moves in the middle of your chest. Keep him in the middle of your chest. You're not going to block every shot. You're not going to stop every shot, but make it difficult. Keep him in the middle of your chest as he goes up, hands up, and let him shoot over. If he scores, great. If he doesn't, you're in fine position. Whatever. He seems like the puck always hits him in the middle of the chest. His glove, even his glove saves. He had a glove save last night, and the announcers were kind of making fun of him, how he kind of twirled at the end like he made a great save. He had his glove there, and the puck just went into his glove. It was a great save, but it's just he was where he was supposed to be. And he seems to be like that more often than not.
All right, 6 a.m. hour, the John Kincade Show, brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White is here for the pro. Obviously, all morning long, be careful out there. And if you are on the roadways as the changeover is beginning, be careful. We want everybody to arrive safely. All right, coming up, the 2023 offseason has officially begun. Now we're on to the 2024 year. I have a question about finding the quickest path to a rebound. I'll give it to the boys next. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Good day in Philly sports. I'm Pat Egan, and this sports update is brought to you by
and you're hearing about all these great opportunities from our sponsors. What would it feel like to listen and hear us talking about your business? More importantly, how will you feel when your phone rings with people saying, I heard you on 97.5 The Fanatic? Find out how you can make that happen. Send an email to marketing@975thefanatic.com. That's marketing@975thefanatic.com. The next commercial you hear could be yours.
The John Kincade Show. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I was thinking about what the offseason's going to bring for the Birds and what we'll be talking about and what we'll be thinking. And I was saying one thing. Despite any kind of frustration that people may have with the season that Jalen Hurts has, thank God that we are not talking about having to go shop for a quarterback. That you're not having to do the Russian roulette of trying to draft a quarterback. I saw a list yesterday of the quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round, the last 10 drafts, okay, in the first 5 picks. I want to give you some of these names, and I want you to tell me how, were they hits or misses? Okay, there have been 7 quarterbacks taken with the top pick in the draft in the last 10 drafts. So Bob and Pat, just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down on Jameis Winston in the 2015.
Thumbs down.
Yeah.
Jared Goff. That's an up.
Yeah, thumbs up.
That's an up. Baker Mayfield.
Sideways.
I'd go sideways.
Sideways. Kyler Murray.
Sideways.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Thumbs up.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
Sideways.
No, I go thumbs up.
You go thumbs up?
I go sideways, trending towards thumbs up.
Okay, Bryce Young, obviously. Where you go with that?
Jury's still out. I don't have a thumb.
Yeah, it's too early. I mean, you have a thumb, though. You do have a thumb. Number 2, there have been 5 quarterbacks taken in the last 10 drafts with the second pick. Marcus Mariota. Thumbs
down.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz.
Thumbs up and then a giant thumbs down.
Mitch Trubisky, who was just released yesterday from another team, the Steelers.
Yep, thumbs down.
Zach Wilson.
Thumbs down.
And then C.J. Stroud.
Thumbs up.
Looks like a big thumbs up. Now, it's weird, though. We can't give the thumbs up, thumbs down on Bryce Young, but we can on C.J. Stroud because he just looks amazing. There have been 3 guys taken with the third pick. Blake Bortles.
Oh, thumbs down.
Sam Darnold.
Thumbs down.
Trey Lance.
Thumbs down.
Holy gosh. The number 4 pick is Anthony Richardson. Not enough data on him in Indy. And he's the only guy taken with the 4th pick, only quarterback in the last 10 drafts. And then Tua, taken with the 5th pick. I go sideways.
Oh, I go thumbs up.
Yeah.
You go thumbs up?
I go thumbs up.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as big a Tua fan, but I'm still gonna. But Pat, you went sideways on Lawrence, right?
I went sideways, trending towards up. Like it's kind of like it isn't great for radio, but it's like like a 160-degree angle.
I'm glad we're not talking about shopping for a quarterback in an off season because I think that's one of the things that always I think creates a lot of anxiety because if you don't have the quarterback in your organization, you feel the overwhelming need to do everything you can, mortgage your future, lay all your cards on the table to try to go get one of those guys. So I ask you here for an Eagles rebound season, assuming that the Eagles need to have a rebound season, which I would believe means you're in at least the divisional round, hosting a game, maybe like something like that, where you've got a good chance to get to a Super Bowl. What's the quickest path to an Eagles rebound? And how is it going to be accomplished? Is it going to be accomplished in the draft? Is it going to be accomplished in free agency? Or is there anybody out there who actually believes it can just be done with superior coaching? And then additions along the way, not big splashes. No big splashes, just basic roster building and better coaches. What's the fastest way to the rebound? Is it draft? Is it the free agency route? Or is it, they can just go about their business. This Super Bowl team from a year ago, they're not that far off from being able to get back there.
No, they draft and free agency, yes. I put I tie them together and I put players. On the defensive side of the ball, they need players. They just don't have enough. They don't have. I would go first and foremost. I'd go playmaking middle linebacker. That's what I'd
So
love
is that
to
in the
see.
draft or free agency? You got to choose one.
However,
I mean, how do you shop? Like what's going to get them back to being to be knocking on the door? I'm not saying guaranteed going to the Super Bowl again, but to be knocking on the door. They're one of the teams, 2 or 3 teams that you say they have a great shot to go. Is it going and getting a veteran at the linebacker position, or do you want to throw some youngster in there and develop them? Because I don't know if that's the fastest.
I'd want to go playmaking veteran, an established guy. I'm not going to kid anybody and say I've looked on the free agent market and see what middle linebackers may be out there, but someone that's established, that has done it, and then I'm also drafting one. And one that I saw play in college that says to me, all right, that's a 6'2". I need like a 6'2", 250-pound, fast, aggressive, plugs holes, covers, that type of linebacker. I want a playmaking linebacker that is disruptive on like every play. You guys know how much I love playmaking linebackers. I think this team needs that. And obviously there's so many other holes to fill defensively. But look, is the offense good enough? Do they have enough talent to say, okay, that's a contending Super Bowl offense? I think so, yeah. I really do. Defensively, they're not even close.
Yeah, they're not close defensively. Not from what you saw the other day. But, Pat, what's the fastest way? Is it rolling the dice again? I mean, is it more of a typical Howie offseason? Or – because to me, I want them to go the draft route. But
I can't go the draft route because I can't rely on impact rookies where they're drafting. 22nd, I can't rely on an impact rookie coming in and making that big of an impact where all of a sudden it transforms a defense. So I go free agency. I want an impact linebacker too. Patrick Queen's out there. I would absolutely take Patrick Queen.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's not this incredible stud linebacker, but he's a really good linebacker. He's a really good middle linebacker, and he's an absolute upgrade over what they've had.
Why is he not signed?
They didn't pick up his 5th-year option.
No, but why though? I mean, have they not locked him down yet?
I mean, you gotta understand. Baltimore is used to premier linebacker play. So Patrick Queen coming in and only giving them, slightly above, good linebacker play. They're probably like, this is horrible. Us, who's used to horrible linebacker play, Patrick Queen looks like Chuck Bednarik incarnate. So yeah, I would love him. Give me him that all day.
So you're are you looking for somebody in the secondary too in free agency?
Secondary, I think you can do that via draft.
Why?
Because I do think that they like the Isaiah Rodgers, Keely Ringo,
right?
Darius Slay. If you want to throw Avonte Maddox in there, triumvirate. And with the safety position is going to be interesting though, because Reed Blankenship is your one. The other guy was supposed to be Sidney Brown, but he's out. So I don't know what they do there, and I don't want to see them do what they've done the past couple of years, which is like a June signing where we sit there and go, actually, this guy's really good. I found one article from the head coach talking about him 3 years ago, and he raved about it, and then the game gets played, and we go, oh, yeah, that guy sucks.
I hear you and Bob, though, I think have a similar philosophy here. As far as there are positions where you don't want to trust a rookie. And there are other positions where you're okay. I'm totally fine going with a young corner. Absolutely fine putting a young corner in the mix for some potentially significant time. But young linebackers, I sort of share it that I'm like, is that going to be something that's going to be picked on and exploited in the early game?
It couldn't be any worse than getting picked on and exploited like they were last year,
with
right?
veterans off the streets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I go back and forth. Queen is a name that I love. I almost wouldn't mind if you didn't get somebody like that. If you did get a rookie that it's like, I don't know, second round, and you say, man, this kid was just all over the field. He's everywhere. He knows how to read everything, has the size, I almost wouldn't mind plug and play with someone like that and saying, learn the position. Nakobe Dean to me, yeah, that's great, but he's 230 pounds or something like that. I need that prototypical middle linebacker. I really, really want that. And then as far as safety, Pat's right. Sidney Brown was a guy that you watch and you see the mistakes, but the mistakes come from wanting to overplay, wanting to do things maybe too much in a defense. A little too aggressive, you mean? Yeah, for a defense that does play the bend, don't break. But you can teach that, and you can live with that. And you can, he was a guy that I would love to have seen this year to go in this coming season to just get in there and play. Sydney, don't worry about it. Just play. Listen to us. Listen to what you're telling you. We'll pull you back when we have to, but just go play. And we're not going to have that, luxury this year because of his injury. But just so many things on the defensive side of the ball. So many things, John.
Like, Pat, where you talked about the linebackers and you don't think that the Eagles drafting at like 22 have the ability to do that. Like last year's draft, 3 linebackers, even though I consider Nolan Smith more of an edge rusher.
He's an edge rusher.
But he was drafted as a quote-unquote linebacker. Only 3 went in the first round at 3, 18, and 30. And in the second round, only 2 went at 37 and 41. And then in the third round, it was a bonanza of still only 5 went in the third round. 6 went in the third round, excuse me. So it's not like people in the NFL across history, and I'm going back on previous drafts here, like if I went back a draft a year earlier. Again, that year, 5 linebackers went in the first round, and then 4 went in the second round. So it tends to be the first 2 rounds, you tend to get around 9 guys, 7 guys. So I think that they've got options. Let's put it that way.
I mean, they do. My thing is your secondary. I'm okay with them drafting a guy to take over for the cornerback spot because you can learn from Adarius Slay. You have veterans in that room. If you bring Bradbury back, okay, you can learn from both those guys. They've played at an all-pro level before, so you have a mentor there. If you draft a rookie linebacker to start week 1, who the hell's he learning from? They don't have anybody.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So I mean, you're really relying on your linebackers coach,
Vic Fangio.
Well, okay, but like it means more when it's coming from a player who's been there as well.
I hear you.
I need a solidified guy who's been there and can prove to be the prototypical linebacker that Bob talks about in that room. And I think you get that guy through free agency. But I'm still of the mindset that they're not going to do that. That they're going to, sign some guy, probably post draft, and they're going to sign him to a 1-year deal, and it's going to be team friendly, and we're going to look up his numbers. He's going to have a whole bunch of tackles.
If I could have a word with Howie, one thing, I don't want spackle and Gorilla Glue. I want to be able to know that when June 1st comes, when free agency's done, draft is done, and everything, and they start looking at like the June 1st cuts. By June 1st, I want to say, okay, I completely understand what his vision was of this offseason. I want to be able to have him tell me the story of his plan and his vision without having to tell me. I can look at it, see it, and say, wait a minute here. Howie Roseman has shown me a couple times in his career changes in philosophies due to failures, due to mistakes, and he corrects it. I'm hoping this linebacker thing is something that we're just not wishing and hoping for, that we're going to actually see him change direction on this.
You could see a vision come June 1st, but I don't know if it'll give you answers as to if they're going to be any good or not.
No, I get that. Yeah. I just want to know, Bob, what his plan is. Because, as Pat was saying, I don't want to be sitting here watching guys, June 20th, they sign a linebacker, and then in July, they're picking up, let's get Nicholas Morrow back. Let's go get Cunningham.
I got you.
You know what I mean? I want to know the story of the offseason by then. And I'm hoping we see it. And I hope it's done with a long-term vision. I'm tired of the spackle.
You don't like when Howie gets Flex Seal and puts it over the linebacker position?
I don't like. By the way, I don't believe that boat either was made out of Flex Seal.
You can do a boat on the water. Flex Seal.
I don't like that. I like a long-term vision. That's why I'm so excited about what the Flyers are trying to do and what their plan is. Execute a plan, have a long-term vision, and there's a payoff. But I wonder if the Eagles feel like your quarterback is young. Your quarterback is young. You're not, unless they're saying they know we're not going to have Devontae and AJ as a tandem for a long time, so we've got to win while we've got both of these guys guaranteed here for the next 2 years, or at least contract-wise. I just don't want them to feel like they're up against the clock. There's like the walls are closing in on them. I don't believe that with this Eagles roster at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, no matter what they do this offseason, all eyes are going to the defense and probably the offensive eyes too. They should Jalen Hurts get back to playing close to what he was last year, and I don't know if he can. I mean, we've seen one great year, and then this year was very, kind of mediocre, and we can't definitively say who he is right now. But if he gets back to close to what he was in that MVP run season, this offense could be really good. And if they're putting up numbers, you're sitting on the sideline, you're looking at that defense to say, all right, come on, boys, get off the field. Let's go. I don't know. This defense, it might be a total overhaul.
It could be.
We're
It very
talking
well
about
could
Fletcher
be, yeah.
Cox, Brandon Graham. We don't know if they're coming or going. You have no linebackers right now. You can say Nakobe Dean all you want. If I hear them tout him,
We don't know with him.
you don't know anything about him. And there's supposed to be more linebackers. There isn't. Edge rushers, you have one that's shopping for a trade now. I don't where is this defense? I have no idea. No idea what this defense is about.
That bums me out a little. It does is that I'm just hoping that we're going to see a change, that there's a change in philosophy, and that Vic Fangio has a big voice. Because if by his history, if he has a big voice in that room, if he is a guy that really does have the clout, there's going to be he's going to have a lot of say in getting them some linebackers in here. And then everybody's going to say, wait a minute, this is a Howie change of philosophy. This is a Howie reversal of where this organization has been. Because if you watched the Super Bowl and you don't value linebacker play and you don't realize how impactful it can be, that was a defensive Super Bowl. And if you had told Kyle Shanahan before, let's say we talked to him Super Bowl week, hey Kyle, you're gonna hold Patrick Mahomes to 19 points. He would have been going and getting his ring finger sized at that exact minute. He would have been like, "Are you kidding me? We're holding Mahomes in the teens. There's no way we're losing. There's no way we're losing." And it just is. You've got to be able to play defense. You have to.
And if those two teams in the Super Bowl, God, separated themselves any further from the Eagles, it was because of their defenses. I mean, you watch it. Like San Francisco, you can talk about, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant or whatever. Okay, but they have a lot of stars on that offense.
Yeah.
A lot of stars. And Kansas City did a really good job of stuffing the box at the right time to keep Christian McCaffrey from, really, really hurting them. And Spagnuolo did a great, great job designing a defense against them. And then you look at the way San Francisco was able to keep Mahomes down for a really good part of that game. Those two defenses were really good. And I said it yesterday, I'll say it today. Both of them would have put a 40 or a 50 spot on this Eagles defense on Sunday. If you threw that Eagles defense out there,
guarantee it,
they would have run all over them.
By the way, I hear a lot of people with the, now the 49ers are going to have to pay Brock Purdy. They can't pay Brock Purdy. They're not allowed to pay Brock Purdy. So Brock Purdy is going to be working at 7th round wages again next season. They cannot extend Brock Purdy until after next season. So I know a lot of people, and I saw it yesterday on social media. Well, now 49ers have, they're in salary cap hell, and they don't have a good cap situation, and they got to go pay Brock Purdy. No, they don't. They got to pay him next offseason. So they're going to have a 7th round quarterback again at that 7th round price. Pat, there were, I believe, 7 or 8 quarterbacks. It's one of the two in Division I football who made more than Brock Purdy this year, just in NIL.
My heart bleeds for him. My heart absolutely bleeds for Brock Purdy.
Wait a minute now.
I don't know.
What if he breaks his leg next year? You know
There's
what I mean?
insurance policies.
I get you. Yeah, but he can't insure.
Place in London.
He's Lloyd's.
Lloyd's. Go to Lloyd's. Go to Lord's.
What did you call it?
Lords of London. Go to Lord's and go to Lloyd's. All right, go to both of them. Insure yourself.
Pat, what would you insure at Lloyd's of London?
You can insure your future earnings, your future expected earnings.
What would you is there a body part? Is there anything?
Me? Oh God.
I mean, seriously, if you called Lloyd's or Lord's is the cheaper brand.
Yeah.
You could go to Lord's.
I guess. I mean, if we're being serious, I guess my voice, because it's the career.
You need a
But
voice.
you know, I mean, a lot of people would be thrilled to hear
What would Bob?
my voice
Bob,
get shot.
You doing anything at Lords or Lloyd's of London?
No, I'm uninsurable. There's nothing that they would take a chance on with me. No,
They're not going to do it.
no.
We want to get up in our feels about what we heard from Daryl Morey yesterday, and Bob's got a question for all of us. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station. Broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios. Powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I wonder if Brendan Gunn would fall for the old Connor routine, Pat, where we used to send Connor outside for those live updates in the snow because now the snow is coming down heavily.
Oh, Connor outside?
Yeah, I think Brendan outside.
Worked for Connor. I mean, look where he's at now.
It's a matter, you know.
Oh,
I mean, do you
Blizzard
want
Brendan.
Yeah, do you want
what is it?
you want your career to thrive or not?
Well, I think that we may have to do that. I mean, it is a flat out. Bob, did you use the word blizzard of conditions?
I was teasing. It's snowing pretty hard here, though. Yeah, it's coming down well.
Remember, the blizzard is about visibility.
Yeah, you're the expert on blizzards coming from Atlanta, where it was 85 degrees every day.
Blizzards is
First day you were here, we had like a little squall, and you were trying to teach us about blizzards.
Blizzards is seven. Your visibility is where you're going to see what the blizzard is. Hopefully, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it does look, be careful out there because it's really windy. I was just looking out the window during the break. It's really windy out there, so it's coming down pretty good and wind and all that stuff, so be careful.
And I would imagine power lines are going to be potentially a problem and everything. Have your phones charged and everything like that. We'll send Brendan out in the 7 o'clock hour. I think he's into it. I think he's into the idea because he is a team
player.
player.
He's not into walking out and getting wet in a cold driving snow.
And then calling in during it.
Yeah.
To get that exposure.
Thank you, Brendan.
It's great. We'll get Brendan out there. We had Daryl Morey yesterday. He doesn't need the exposure. But it was great having Daryl with us yesterday. At the end of the show, having the chance. We didn't really get too much of a chance to react to what we heard from the president of basketball operations. But he seems like a very confident man, Bob. Seems like a guy that is at least confident in his plan.
Okay. Wow. Confident in his plan. I didn't think of it that way. I don't think he knows what his plan is. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying in a way like he doesn't know whether his best player is going to be here or not. I don't know if he knows. Now, maybe they have a wink, handshake, hug with Buddy Hield. You have nobody under contract so far next year except for Joel Embiid, maybe Paul Reed. You're going to extend Tyrese Maxey. After that, it's a crapshoot. This year, can you have confidence in this year when you don't know if one of the best players in the league is going to come back or not? All these injuries. Is DeAnthony Melton ever going to come back? Is Nick Batum? And I hear you, everybody. He's not the all, but he's a piece, and he was playing well with Joel Embiid, maybe one of those pieces you need. Is he going to come back? Is he going to be healthy at all this year? I'm not saying Daryl Morey isn't confident. I'm laying out reasons that I think maybe he shouldn't be all that confident.
I think that yesterday, that's the one thing on my ride home that I was wondering. Does he think he's coming back or not? And because I really thought we would get more of a card tip from him. But I think when I went back and listened to it again yesterday, and I walked away saying he believes he's coming back. He believes he's getting him back. Or he is really, really hopeful that he's getting him back.
Well, and that's why I asked the question. Do you make these moves with the idea that he's coming back or the hope that he's coming back? And without hesitation, he said hope. He said hope. Idea to me says, yeah, we really do think he's coming back, and that's what we're planning. He went hope. And to me, like I said right after the interview, I'm not saying it's a downgrade and what was the Sixers or anything like that, but if he's being honest, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. Hope is hope. Idea of him coming back to me says, yeah, we're confident he's going to be here, and that's why we built this team the way we did.
Well, the buyout market would tell you that he thinks he is. Like, why would you do a Kyle Lowry move unless you thought he was coming back?
Because you hope he is. Look, I think he is building this all on the hook, and that's good. Like, you don't want anybody to give up. And you can't, like, people that'll say, what do you care for this? This happens all the time. Okay, well, then I'm a quitter. You know, like you can't just not try. You can't just say, oh, it doesn't matter because Embiid's going to be hurt. Okay, what if he's not? You know, you have to keep trying. So that's exactly what Daryl Morey and company are doing right now. They're trying with the hope Joel Embiid comes back. This is them talking, let's put the best team around Joel Embiid that we can possibly get right now. And that includes, God bless you, a Buddy Hield.
Thank you, buddy.
That includes maybe a campaign in their eyes and a Kyle Lowry to do whatever they think Kyle Lowry is going to do. So you have to never give up. And Daryl Morey has shown if Embiid comes back, they're trying to get the best team around him.
Pat, when you listened to him yesterday, did you think he's a guy who believes he's coming back, or do you think it's more of that hope thing? Like, what did you take away thinking about it?
Hope, and you have to make an attempt because he doesn't want to give up on a season. I don't get the sense that Daryl Morey is ever giving up on a season. So I think it's a lot of hope, but I don't think he has an insider, inside news of like, okay, we can expect him back at the beginning of March, and then he can ramp up basketball activities, and then at the end of March maybe he can get in some game. I don't think it's that. I just think it's more of he doesn't want to punt on a season. In the case that in the chance I should say that Joel Embiid can come back. So he made these moves. He didn't have to give up a first round pick, which I think is big. When the Buddy Hield news broke, my first question was, what did we give up? And the fact that it was 3 second-round picks, it was like, okay, you can recoup those. You can literally buy those. So I get the sense of Daryl Morey is an all-in GM. And he's been like that in Houston, and now he's like that in Philly. And
can you be that way, though, when you don't know what's going on?
Look, I mean, I'm not going to agree with what they did at the deadline. Just not. Now, it's going to make...
What don't you like what they did?
I wanted to sell. I don't think this is the year. I don't see a path to the ultimate goal, which is a championship. I don't think that the moves they made are going to make them a championship contender. I think the move to get Buddy Hield in was to kind of convince him to re-sign, and I think they'd still have to probably overpay. I don't think this is it. So because of that, I wanted them to sell. I didn't want them to buy. But I also didn't like the fact that I felt like at 10 a.m. they were buying, and then at 2 p.m. they were selling. Because when you're trading off guys to Boston and Milwaukee, two teams that you had circled before the season as, okay, we're going to have to watch those teams and they're going to be competing with us for an Eastern Conference championship, and then you sell them off and you address the media and say, well, Jaden Springer is going to have a good future, but, we're a team looking to win now. Okay, then what's Boston looking to do? Are they not looking to win now? I'm confused. So that's what I really didn't like. I didn't feel like the deadline had a clear, decisive plan. I think they were kind of flying by the seat of their pants. And he kind of admitted as such when he said on with us that like they did have a plan and they started making calls on Wednesday, and those plans kind of went out the window and they had to pivot to other things. So I just don't like the direction of what they did at the deadline, but that's just me. It'll make for a more interesting rest of the season. If they sold, I could, you just check out.
Sold for what though? So you're going to say assets. What kind of assets? Like draft picks in the future? Yeah,
I would have sold Tobias Harris. You probably could have gotten a first-round pick for him. I would have a future first-round pick, but you would have gotten a first-round pick. All the other guys that are on expiring contracts, and including my boy Pat Bev, like trade them for second-round picks. I'm cool with that.
So you're giving up on Embiid?
I'm giving up on Embiid for the season, yeah.
For this year.
No, that's not for the season. You're saying future second-rounders and first-rounders? That ain't doing anything for you.
Well, no, you get those assets, and then you can make moves at the NBA trade deadline.
Yeah, but like,
a second-round pick got
I'm
you
not defending. I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, I know you are, but second-round pick got you Seth Curry. Second-round pick got you D'Anthony Melton. I mean, I think Daryl Morey's strengths has been identifying talent and picking that talent up at the NBA draft. And if you can use those assets that you acquired for an expiring contract in a Marcus Morris, and then you end up getting D'Anthony Melton's replacement at the draft, I mean, I don't think that's giving up on Embiid at all.
Where do you fall on this if you want to join us? 610-632-0975. I see people, like, honestly celebrating on social media about Kyle Lowry. Like this is he's coming home, and this is, to me, this doesn't.
People are celebrating?
Yeah, like they're excited that Kyle Lowry's coming to town. I'm like, does it get you to the?
Who are these people?
Does it get you closer to a championship? Is Kyle Lowry a piece that gets you?
Well, I
Closer
think
to a champion. What is Kyle Lowry, 37?
He's 37. The excitement over Kyle Lowry is everybody likes seeing a hometown guy come back.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how old they are. I think if you were to ask all those people that you're seeing on social media be excited about Kyle Lowry, what do you expect out of him? That it's going to be a different excitement level. I think it has way more to do with, hey, this is cool. Like, this kid grew up in North Philly.
Okay.
He went to Northeast. He went to Doherty. He went to Nova. He's playing for his hometown team. Like, that's cool. I mean, I enjoyed the little hype video that he put out. But am I expecting 2019 Kyle Lowry? No, I'm not.
Yeah, and that's where I'm just like, this is just like a PR campaign thing.
And that's why I made the case before the move even happened of, like, I would rather keep Pat Bev. I think Pat Bev's a better fit for this locker room than Kyle Lowry, although I haven't, Bob will probably think right now, like, Pat, you haven't been to the locker room. It's true.
I was never going to say
You
that.
were thinking it, though.
No,
I could see it in your eyes.
I would never say that.
And what I mean by that is, like, when you see Pat Bev coaching guys up, I think it was a good fit for this team. I think it's what the team needed. They needed that hard ass that would tell a Tyrese Maxey, look, man, that ain't good enough tonight. We need to pick it up tomorrow. Not saying that Kyle Lowry can't be that guy.
Right.
He might be, and I hope he is. But I think you're able to separate. At least I am. I'm able to separate my excitement level for a hometown guy coming back, and my expectation for what that guy is going to do.
Would Pat, the GM, now what Pat presented, Bob, you're on the beat, you're a season ticket holder or somebody, different roles. How acceptable do you think that would have been to the fan base?
Oh, if I'm a columnist, I'm writing that Pat must go. Like
that Pat's not trying to win.
Yeah, Pat's looking down the road, and there's not that much road ahead of Joel Embiid. And I'm teasing you. I'm doing that.
But you would if he had that.
People have been calling for my job for years, Bobby.
Yeah, my disagreement with Pat is that there has to be more of a sense of urgency, and getting draft picks for to use as assets, second rounders and all. Nothing has ever moved the needle for me when second round future draft picks are involved. So I think if we were to put it out there, blank sheet of paper, and saying, you're one of the best teams in the league in the middle of the season, say top 5, and your star gets hurt, but there's a chance he's coming back at the end of the year, and you have a chance to make that team better, definitely better, while he's out. Would you want your GM to do that or just call it a season? I think most would say, yeah, why wouldn't you? And then you have the extenuating circumstances of you have no salaries to pay next year. Why wouldn't you go in all in this year? I think most people would lean towards doing probably what Daryl Morey did.
Let's find out what Dom thinks. Dom, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Hey, John. How you doing? Hey,
Good,
Bob,
man.
Pat.
What's up, Dom?
First of all, John, that was a great interview with Daryl Morey yesterday.
Enjoyed that discussion.
Too.
Big time.
Yeah. I think one of the most important things he said, saying to Pat, is he said Daryl Morey's not a guy that shows his cards too much. He said, we're the second best team in the conference other than Boston. He put Boston at another level, and he said to you guys, we're better than everybody else. So that's what he believes with a healthy Joel Embiid, is that they're the second best team in the Eastern Conference. So that's how he had to build with the hope that Embiid comes back.
I would say that the idea is that there's I don't know about what Daryl Morey can sell, though, when it's like the Kyle Lowry move. Like, again, like a Kyle Lowry move when you got rid of a Pat Bev is just strange to me. It's strange.
You think that's the toughness move? You got rid of Morris, so you needed like a toughness guy. Kyle Lowry is
Lowry.
tough.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry is tough.
I don't know. Thank you, Dom.
Yeah, thanks, Dom. The toughness thing, all right, they tried it with P.J. Tucker. Okay, great. He's a tough guy, and he'll get in your face defensively. He couldn't do anything else on the floor. I said to you guys last year, I don't know why he was even out there. Absolutely a non-threat at the offensive end. Pat Beverly isn't a non-threat at the offensive end, but he's not a big threat at the offensive end. I see the intangibles that Pat's talking about. They decided to upgrade it. They decided to go with a younger campaign, a guy that can score some more. And then maybe you bring in a Kyle Lowry that's that tough guy. And if you use him for, I don't know, I was surprised that Daryl Morey said he can give us good minutes yesterday.
He thought that, and that's, I wrote it down here. He did. That's exactly, he seems very much.
He even might have said major minutes or something. He said something before minutes. I'll have to go back and listen during a break. That surprised me. Locker room guy, toughness. Okay, yeah, that's good. If you find the right guy. I mean, anybody, I shouldn't say anybody can be tough, but anybody can play hard. You know, anybody can play hard. And whether they have that experience or respect to be like a Patrick Beverly, to grab a clipboard from a coach or to take a guy out on the floor during a timeout and teach him how to jump a pick and roll. Maybe not. But in the end, I guess they didn't deem that worthy enough to be championship contenders and decided to. Patrick Beverly was replaced by on the court campaign, off the court, probably Kyle Lowry.
Is this a move that was done by the head coach and his affection for Kyle Lowry?
I'm sure there was a lot of input. Yeah.
It just seems strange to me that Pat Bev goes and Kyle Lowry comes in. That's the one that I can't understand what you're.
Yeah, look, it's a dime a dozen that you're training. Pat Beverly, yeah, it's great for fans to watch and you see all the stuff, and that's cool, and I like it too. But when you're breaking down X's and O's and whatever, Patrick Beverly's way low on the list.
Absolutely.
As far as what you need to contend for championships.
It just I didn't come away with a plan of really understanding the plan. And as you point out, maybe it's because of the fact that Daryl Morey doesn't really know what the plan is. He was very forthcoming about his answers, though.
Yeah, I think this team is, if you put a healthy Joel Embiid on this team now, do you think they're better than what they were before he got hurt?
Yes.
Well, then I think a GM might have done a pretty good job then.
I think they're better.
What he wants to do for this year. Yeah. If you can improve a team during the season, isn't that your ultimate job as a coach? You want your team to get better during the season. As a player, you want to make your teammates and yourself better. As a GM, you want to get the better talent you can around. Now, all of it comes under the umbrella of Joel Embiid's injury. It just does. But if he's healthy, I think I agree with you, John, that this team now is probably better than the one before he got hurt.
How about this? I think they're a better team. They may be slightly worse defensively, though. And maybe more than slightly.
Yeah, you lost some defense there, and I'm not counting Springer. Springer wasn't getting any minutes. But you have shooters
now that you have a better I think you have a better chance to sustain offense. And especially your second unit may even be better now, be able to, sustain offense.
A healthy DeAnthony Melton, a healthy Kelly Oubre coming with that second unit. Yeah, that's pretty formidable. And then, Maxey always plays with that second unit in the second quarter, as does Tobias Harris. So, yeah, you have some interesting things there. I wish we could see it play out. I don't know if we're going to.
The 7 a.m. hour is brought to you by the Bet Parks app. Now, look, just because football's over, it doesn't mean that you put your betting app down, especially if you know they're the official winning partner of your Philadelphia 76ers. Sportsbook and casino in one sleek, easy-to-use app. Check it out, the Bet Parks app. It is absolutely awesome. Yeah, I brought that up that, Pat, I saw 11.5 underdog last night, and I didn't pull the trigger on even taking them on them with the points.
Oh, neither would I. So don't beat yourself up over it. I had no faith.
It was sort of cowardly, though. I mean, 11.5 points
How is it cowardly?
Because 11.5 points is a big gift, but they've been getting blown out so much. I was like, I didn't know what to think. And Cleveland's been playing great ball. And
You know, nailed it. It was Bob's former coworker, Keith Pompey, tweeted out before the game like this is setting up to be a trap game if there ever was one.
So he said money line. Did he say take money line?
Well, no, we can't talk about betting. He just talked about this.
He just talked about
look for an upset.
Yeah, exactly. And he nailed it. So I kind of rolled my eyes when I saw it, but that's probably why he is covering the team, and I am with you two, Jagaloons.
Well, we're glad to have you.
That was it was really a nice effort, though, last night. Like, you could tell.
It was very much.
They were into, this sounds weird, so you have to read a little deeper into it. They were into winning that game last night.
Yes.
And it's easy when you're shorthanded to absorb and understand a loss and a good effort. They weren't that last night. They were going after that win. And you say, well, who wouldn't go after a win? Yeah, but like I said, read deeper in it. Like they wanted that win last night, and that was, I thought, really good to see. Like I said, it's kind of a substitute teacher game where you have mishmash of lineups and all of that. But they played hard and they played well. And Paul Reed getting a block on Donovan Mitchell at the end of the game,
And that was big.
And not only did he get a block, he did it the right way. Straight up, never went down, kept his hands right up in the air. No chance for the ref to call a foul, which you have a Donovan Mitchell, a star in the league, going against a Paul Reed. Nobody's gonna look at a ref twice if he bails him out and calls a foul there. But Reed didn't give him that opportunity, and it was a great play by him.
Sometimes in a great season, you have that singular moment that defines everything. Sometimes it happens in a bad season, too. We'll talk about it next. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
975thefanatic.com.
All right, the snow has really started to fall all over, it seems like, the area. Be careful out there. I think a lot of people probably just putting a pot of coffee on and rolling over in their kitchen. Maybe they're watching on YouTube this morning. We appreciate you. Maybe you are listening on the app or just going to maybe work from home today. Some of the school districts closing and everything. Just be careful out there, and we'll keep you up to date if anything breaks in the Bala Cynwyd parking lot. Looks like it's quickly coming down, Bob, would you say? Bob, the meteorologist.
Coming down well, yeah.
It is coming down well. It's a good storm. Good storm, and hopefully
sunny in about 6 hours. So.
Yeah, they say that this afternoon. It's going to be pretty nice. So it's good. So for Fat Tuesday, this would keep a lot of people in.
Today's Fat Tuesday?
Yeah, today's Fat Tuesday.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Tomorrow's Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, I forgot.
So today is Fat Tuesday. So you're supposed to gorge yourself today. No, it's not about. Well, drinking's fine if you're in New Orleans. More for that, but you're supposed to go and feast up today. So maybe some donuts, maybe some beignets. We don't have beignets, I think, in a lot of places.
No,
in this area,
no beignets in Philly.
No, not the
really,
same.
No.
We will give you a chance to win Stadium Series tickets to see the Flyers and the Devils at MetLife Stadium with our friends from Philly Sports Trips. They're going to have a trip going, and you can go to 975thefanatic.com, find out more information, and also get another chance to win. But we'll be giving away a pair of tickets tomorrow on the show, so you got to be listening. But you want to check out phillysportstrips.com. They've got everything going. In fact, they are already ready for the trip for the Eagles opener. So if you want to go fly with the birds, Philly Sports Trips will always be a great, great spot. They will take great, great care of you. So they've already got that going on. Every sort of video has a signature moment. By the way, Pat, have you watched the 2023 Phillies video?
I think I got a couple minutes into it. It was one of those, hey, I got like 15 minutes before I have to be somewhere. I'll just throw something on for background noise. But no, I have no interest in watching it.
It seemed a little, it was well done, but it was a little forced. I think Ray Dunn was very excited to see it and everything like that. I was like, the World Series year, yeah. The disappointing way that a season ends, I think, determines a lot about whether you want to watch the movie of it or celebrate it. But every single season has a signature moment. And some may look at the 2023 Eagles and say, there is a signature moment available to us that is a positive, and some may think it's a negative. I have my signature moment that will remind me of the 2023 season forever. And for you, and you can join us at 610-632-0975, your signature moment, very well, based on what we saw, could be a positive, could be a negative. So if I asked you, Bob, signature moment, it's got to be a moment. It's not a game. It's not a whole outcome. It's one thing that you would point to that would summarize 2023 to you. First of all, is it positive or negative?
Summarize?
Like it's the signature moment of the whole season.
Okay.
And it could be positive and it could be negative.
I don't think you take a positive out of this season if you're doing a synopsis on the Philadelphia Eagles. So I go to not only a synopsis of the season, but also the start of the downfall, the real downfall of the season. 28 seconds to go. Drew Lock throws a pass into the end zone to Jackson Smith and Jigba, and they wind up winning that football game when they had to go, 92 yards or something like that. That was the moment. That was the moment to me that said, oh, my God. Okay, they just lost to San Fran. They just lost to Dallas. Understandable.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the schedule. But, wow, they're in a free-for-all now. And this isn't good. And they just let a backup quarterback do that to them. This could take a bad turn. And so to me, that was the signature moment of, is this going badly? And sure enough, it did.
Yours is different than mine. Mine is in the same game. Is the A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, we know better than the offensive coordinator, and we're going to do our own thing, and we're going rogue, and ending up throwing a ill-advised pass play and interception that ended up just really screwing that game up. And to me, that is my moment in that one. Pat, we're both in the Seattle game.
Mine, Seattle game's a good one because there's a lot of them you could choose from. But mine would be a moment that didn't even happen in a game.
Really?
It would be the decision to basically demote Sean Desai and promote Matt Patricia, and the defense got incredibly worse.
That's a good one.
That is a really good one, Pat.
They weren't playing incredible defense to begin with, but, I mean, they looked absolutely lost after that move, and it cost them dearly because the defense couldn't stop anybody. You think about after that move happened, and they let Tyrod Taylor almost come back on them. Oh. And if it wasn't for Tommy DeVito starting half that game, Tyrod Taylor would have won it. Case in point, 2 weeks later, Tyrod Taylor did end up beating the Eagles. Kyler Murray ends up coming back on him. Like it was gross. So that would be my own.
That's a really good one. And Pat doesn't even go to a game. Pat goes to a decision, and the decision, Pat, that may very well be the best one as far as the signature moment of where the death spiral, because it really was. It was a death spiral. And they couldn't pull themselves out of it.
When did they do that move?
It was before Seattle game.
It was
before the
Dallas
Seattle
and
game.
Seattle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Between Dallas and Seattle.
Because we were down in Center City when it happened.
Right.
So we're both at the same. We're all at the same point of the calendar. And yeah, it sucked to lose. It sucked to lose to Dallas. It sucked to lose to the 49ers. But they could have pulled themselves out of that. The Kansas City Chiefs are scheduling another parade. And they went and lost 4 home games and never caved. Never gave in, never let it beat them. Found a way to come back with the same exact record. And I can't get past it that the Super Bowl champs had the same regular season record as the Eagles because the story was just absolutely ridiculous. And when Andy Reid could have panicked, every story you hear is there was no panic. There was absolutely no panic when they played like garbage, Kansas City. They were absolutely terrible. And they found a way to be able to, well, let's just say, put something together. If you have a signature moment of your own and you wanted to share, you can at 610-632-0975. It also is amazing to me, though, because if I said to you, you have to give me a positive one. Mine is Jalen Hurts running into the end zone on the quarterback draw to win the game in overtime against Buffalo. That to go 10-1.
Yeah, if you have to go positive, I would go that whole series. That series against Buffalo that you had to score a touchdown, that it was very diverse, run, pass, scramble, everything. I thought it was at the time it was going to be the turning point of the season. So if you're looking for a positive, yeah, that win against Buffalo and the way they did it. And if you have to drill it down to one play, sure, let's go that touchdown by Jalen Hurts.
I think it was interesting watching, some of the postmortems of the Super Bowl yesterday while I was getting work done. Hearing them talk about, Dan Orlovsky talked about why he would have absolutely never in a million years would he have ever said, yeah, I'm going to take the ball first in overtime if he was Kyle Shanahan. And he talked all this beautiful soliloquy about the beauty of 4-down football. And I think about it. We saw last year where the Eagles had to tie the Chiefs in the fourth quarter, inside 7 minutes of the Super Bowl ending. And they had to tie the Chiefs and had to have a 2-point conversion to tie it. And Jalen Hurts down the field, just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And then we saw him do it against Buffalo, too. In overtime, trailing, you got to take the ball. You got to go down. You can tie it for a tie, or you can go and get that win. And a beautiful drive down there. He was saying how, Orlovsky was talking about how the freedom of 4-down football and how you never want a guy like Patrick Mahomes to have it. Because when he has 4 downs to play with, he says it changes all your play calling. It changes every single thing that you do when you know, well, if we're in our own territory and we're down by a field goal, we need at least a field goal to tie. We're calling plays differently, knowing that it's 4-down football. And to me, that's the one reason I'm so confident in Jalen Hurts bouncing back. I really am. Is that I've watched him when he plays 4-down football, when he plays some clutch moments where he really needs to do it, and he has a plan, and he doesn't go rogue. He has been he's a magician out there too. I've seen him do drives like Mahomes did to win the Super Bowl the other night. I've seen it. I saw it in the Super Bowl last year, that tying drive, which was absolutely ridiculously beautiful. I saw him against Buffalo in a huge game against a big team in the AFC. And to me, that's why I'm completely confident that this will all get worked out with Jalen Hurts. That Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy.
Because I also saw a lot of all 22 film of him missing receivers. I saw a lot of him not looking as fast as he was before. I saw a lot of indecisions. I saw a lot of bad throws. I mean, you can go to that Jets game. You can go to the Seattle game that you talked about. I mean, completely, no, I'm hopeful that he can get back to more of what he was 2 years ago than he was this past season. But I cannot say I'm completely positive after what I saw this year. No.
Yeah, I'm not going to get spooked by the disarray of 2023. I'm going to convince myself that the defensive side of the ball, completely different discussion. Jalen Hurts, I'm fine with Jalen. I think it'll all. I am a big believer that he will be far closer to the 2022 version than the 2023 version. And I believe for the majority of the rest of his career, he is going to be closer to the guy we saw in 2022 than 2023.
Well, it's funny because that was the question that we threw out there before this season. Like, can you expect him to be kind of an MVP candidate every year?
I think he can be on the fringe of that discussion, minimum, and in the discussion every single year.
Well, then you're talking a top 5 quarterback in the league, and
can he be Josh Allen? Can he be Josh Allen? Yes.
Wow.
That type of quarterback where every single year his team's good, and he's already accomplished more than Josh Allen. He's already gone further than Josh Allen.
His team did, yeah. I mean, if you're
he was a huge part of those.
No question. But Josh, I can't say he's better than Josh. Like he's going to be as good as Josh Allen?
He can be in that mix of Josh Allen is usually in like the 4 or 5 discussion, 6. I think he can be there. Absolutely. He's not in the Mahomes discussion. He doesn't belong in that. He doesn't belong in that. Yeah. And I don't know where in the hierarchy he would show. But to me, again, I would feel more confident with Jalen Hurts than Dak Prescott. And okay. Dak Prescott has so much better numbers as a passer. He is Dak Prescott has all the fantasy numbers, but I would absolutely feel more confident going forward with Jalen Hurts than Dak Prescott. Because I've seen it. And Dak Prescott doesn't rise to the occasion. Josh Allen, by the way, hasn't risen to the occasion. Numerous opportunities in his career, biggest stages, has not had his best games. Has nothing. Lamar Jackson, lots of stats. In the biggest stages of his career, he hasn't risen to the occasion. I've already seen Jalen Hurts do something that I've seen neither one of those guys do yet. On the biggest stage, he dueled Patrick Mahomes absolutely play for play on that stage. That's why I'm so confident in him. Pat, where do you put that? Is that outrageous, or is your confidence not nearly as strong?
It's not like everything you said is correct. Like Josh Allen has not shown up on the biggest stage. Lamar Jackson has not shown up on the biggest stage. Doesn't mean they can't.
No, it doesn't mean they can't, but they haven't. So anybody saying that they can, it's hoping.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a bit of a track record there that we can point to and go, okay. It's one of the reasons why I picked Kansas City against Baltimore was because the Lamar Jackson thing is real, and it's why I picked Kansas City against Josh Allen. It's a real thing. For whatever reason, some teams can't get over the hump. We watched a team in Philly with Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid, and it was like that's a prime example of a quarterback who just can't get it done. I don't know with Jalen Hurts if he's the same way. I mean, last year was such an anomaly that I really hope we just put an asterisk next to last year when we look at the career of Jalen Hurts and we go, okay, that's the outlier year pretty much every other year with a loaded offense. He is that guy because I do think that he can lead this team to a Super Bowl.
I absolutely do also.
How good do you think Josh Allen would be on this Eagles team? Going against the NFC. I mean, he's got to beat Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes every year in order to get to a Super Bowl.
Well, he has to beat the defenses of their teams.
Hey, look,
You talked about dueling with Mahomes.
He wouldn't be bad.
Jalen Hurts.
There's no doubt he wouldn't be bad, but it's not like
bad?
Well, what do you want from me?
No, go ahead.
Like,
I was
he
just
wouldn't
surprised.
be bad. No, I'm not going to sit here and act like he'd be bad. But the reality is, he also has had a loaded offense. He is a whiny crybaby when things aren't going his way. He doesn't handle adversity well. So, yeah, I mean, he wouldn't be bad, but I also don't think he'd be this world beater,
I don't
put him in the Super Bowl, because I just haven't seen it. I've seen this guy whine and cry his ass off when things don't go his way and start pouting and screaming, whereas Jalen Hurts, for all the faults that I have with the guy about being a robot, he is just that. He's a robot. Good, bad, no matter what, he's sitting there stone-faced, staring off into oblivion when things aren't going his way or when things are going great. So I've seen one guy get frustrated and struggle, and then another guy stay the exact same. And I'll take the guy who stays the exact same.
And with a guy like Josh Allen, too, stats is he says he's going to make a lot of bad throws no matter who he's playing with. He's gonna put the ball at risk, even with what was a really supposed to be good year this year. He was 29-18. That's not a good ratio.
Well, we saw how good he can be. We saw it here, firsthand.
Oh no, he can put together games, and so does Dak. Dak does the same thing. A lot of Lamar does the same thing. But all three of those guys, when they've had the chance on the big stage, they have not shown out. There's always been something that has kept them from, getting to that next level. I'm sure Lamar Jackson's hearing it. Is going to hear it all. That's going to be Baltimore sports radio all off season.
Oh, I was down in Baltimore this past weekend, and I had more than a couple people tell me.
Still talking about it?
Talk about their disdain for Lamar Jackson, yeah.
Which I can't believe it because you have an MVP.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what I mean? And people just don't like it. I don't know. It is one of those. And look, my confidence in Josh Allen may end up being real against Josh Allen. Being, in the Jalen Hurts discussion, may be misplaced.
It's just me. I think I'd put Josh Allen on this Eagles team, and he'd be great. I mean, are you kidding? With these two wide receivers, that tight end, the way he can run, the way he throws, I think he'd be great here. Yeah, I that's how I compare quarterbacks. Forget the teams they're on, whatever. Put them on the team that you have now. Put Jalen Hurts on that Buffalo team. Is he as good as Josh Allen? I don't know. I mean,
Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis.
I mean, he's got great.
That's not
Knox.
A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
But it's certainly not. It's not bad.
No.
I mean, they've been asking him to do it with scrubs, out there. He's not like, man, Josh, you're doing it all yourself. You're putting it on the back. Seriously, what Mahomes just won a Super Bowl with pales in comparison to the tools that have been given to a guy like Josh Allen. Or even Lamar Jackson has a gripe.
Or even Jalen Hurts.
Lamar Jackson has a gripe.
I don't know. Zay Flowers is damn good. He's a stud.
And on the big stage, he crapped the bed.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rookie.
I got you. No, he is a stud. Yeah, but that's 1 year. He really has not had over his career.
He looks like a stud. And he
does have it, yes.
He's got a top 3 tight end in football, and it's like the tight ends in football are the top 3 and then everybody else. You pretty much got Kelsey, Kittle. You might want to put Laporta in there now, but and then Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
it's like everybody else.
Yeah, it really is. It's going to be it's interesting to watch. It is something where maybe it's going to end up blowing up in my face. The immense confidence I have in Jalen Hurts, but I don't believe that it will.
Yeah,
I don't believe it will. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be in that. I believe he will be in the periphery of the MVP conversation for the vast majority of his career. He may have a down year where, 1 year where he, sort of takes a step. But overall, I think he's always going to be in that discussion as a going to the Pro Bowl, being a MVP type candidate. On the periphery of it, he may be. Or there'll be the years where he's in the actual top 3, top 4 guys that people are talking about voting for it. I think it's there. I think last year was the absolute it was a mess. That team was a mess. And I'm going to say talent will win out. Confidence will win out. Poise will win out. And it's one of the things that I think Jalen Hurts absolutely has over Josh Allen, over Lamar Jackson that I've seen. I do believe he's poised. I believe he's more composed. I believe he has that factor to stay calm in the moment.
Would you watch the Super Bowl and see Patrick Mahomes screaming at his teammates? Have you seen him screaming all year? I don't
put him in the Patrick Mahomes discussion. I put Patrick Mahomes in his own discussion.
Yeah, but you're talking about a quarterback. You love him because he's composed. I don't need a composed quarterback. I need a guy that can read the field and throw the ball to the guys that are open. And he's done it one year, and other years it's been,
Okay. Well, none of the other.
So all I'm saying is I don't have the complete confidence. We'll see. I still need more. Is what I'm saying, I guess.
And honestly, you do have to do it twice. You can't just have that great season once and have it. But I do look at last year as being the just blip on the radar. And boy, I'm hoping that's the case because I couldn't live through that crap again. That was terrible.
Oh, it was the fact they start off 10-1. I mean, it's one thing if the season just sucks. You can accept that.
And you can end up writing it off.
Yeah. But when they're 10-1 and you're convincing yourself maybe they can right the ship, and then they're telling you through that skid that, oh yeah, well, we got to fix it. Then they just don't. That's what makes it the most frustrating.
But they're gonna get the guys in the right position, Pat.
Yeah, no, it's gonna happen.
They're
I mean,
still
look,
working on it.
time is of the essence. They realize that there's a little bit of urgency in that building, and AJ Brown talked to the media, and that's gonna turn the season around. Bobby, you know that.
Yeah, that really.
As a media member, you know that when AJ Brown talks to the media, it turns everything around.
I think it was the turning point of the season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think it's where the tension with Jalen Hurts started, though. I think it's where the little tension started.
I don't really think there's too much tension there. I think that is two friends in the heat of battle. Like me and Bobby have gotten into it before, and we don't hate each other. Me and you have gotten into it before. We don't hate each other.
No,
it's just like that's friends in the moment.
Hey,
and then afterwards you go and you enjoy a cocktail with one another.
Look out your window. It is a blizzard out the window. But Bob wants you to get a pen and paper and start dreaming of warmer days. We'll explain. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
2 in a row. I'm Pat Egan. This Sports Update is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know there's a better way to do things, like bundling your home and auto insurance.
and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station. Broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios. Powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Now, tomorrow we have a chance for you to win Stadium Series tickets thanks to our friends at PhillySportsTrips.com. So you got to be listening. Go to 97.5thefanatic.com. Give yourself another opportunity to get yourself a spot on the trip this Saturday. Should be big. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Now, you've got that covered, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm on it. It's just like Christmas shopping. I do it months in advance.
Bob's walking into the CVS on the way home.
Oh, I'm doing the same thing.
You are? You're going to put it on?
Yeah.
Are you going to do it today or are you going to do it tomorrow?
No, I'll do it today.
No, I actually thought it out.
So you did?
I'm good to go, yeah.
You're all set?
I got this.
All right. I would never go out on Valentine's Day because I think it's one of those, like, going out there's the amateur hour days where the restaurants get overwhelmed. Everything sort of gets crazed out. We're going to go out on Saturday.
See, I think that's the mistake because I think more people do that.
You think they go after or they go before? I think more because
I think more people are going. Like if Valentine's Day falls on a Monday, more people will likely celebrate it the weekend before. If Valentine's Day falls on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, more people are celebrating it on that Friday or Saturday.
I heard Tyrone on Best Show Ever getting into this as far as the rules of when you celebrate your birthday and everything.
Rules?
But yeah, there's all these rules. As far as like if it's a Thursday, is Saturday the celebration day? If it's if it's a Tuesday, is it the Saturday before?
I mean, it depends on whatever you're into.
That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah,
that's an absolute issue.
I mean, with Blue Chew, you can celebrate any day.
You're ready for the celebration.
Promo code Fanatic.
You don't have to celebrate on a weekend. Like you could do it at your own home. Like
what do you mean?
So when's Valentine's? Tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Wednesday is Valentine's.
I'm gonna cook a really good dinner.
That's very nice.
You always do that though.
No, but I'm gonna cook. With special interest as to what the girls in my house like.
Okay.
So normally you're saying you ask them what they want and then they tell you what they want and you say tough noogies.
No, I don't
you make
ask.
what you want.
You'll eat what I'm cooking.
Yeah, I just say like, hey, we're having this tonight or we're having that tonight. If they so choose to eat it, that's
if you don't
on
want
them.
the chicken cacciatore, you can go somewhere else.
Yeah. I'll make a nice dinner tomorrow night. I don't have to go out to a restaurant and stuff to celebrate. Are we?
Well, not all of us are cooks like you, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we're
that's
not.
a good point.
I'm not equipped.
I was just trying to make it easier for you. You're not equipped, John?
No,
Well,
I'm not equipped. I'm not equipped to be able to entertain someone in the kitchen the way you are.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Christina doesn't want peanut butter and jelly for Valentine's Day dinner.
No,
You could order
it's
in.
not. No, I
Candles.
by the way, and I hate takeout food.
Do you really?
Yeah,
I love takeout food.
I hate takeout food. I hate delivery.
And he doesn't do leftovers.
I don't do
I don't
delivery.
like it. And I'm
with you
not
on-
a big leftovers. We give leftovers.
I don't do delivery.
We give leftovers to Uncle Tom, and he has leftovers in his fridge. Looks like Hannibal Lecter. So
Yeah, it's weird.
take a look out your window this morning. It is that Window Nation window is very it's messy out there right now. The blizzard is on. Now it's going to be gone by the afternoon, so everybody can chill. So just do what you got to do. But Bob wants you thinking about warmer weather, beautiful days. What's this about, Bob? We all care about it.
Well, why not? I mean, we're gonna hear the old popping of the gloves coming soon, Patrick. One of my favorite sounds of the. Are we in the middle? We're in the middle of winter, right?
Yeah, this is the middle of
Yeah. So one of my favorite sounds in the middle of winter is just the news stations go to. Okay, and here it is, and you hear pop.
Yes.
Yeah, you hear the ball popping in the mid of the catcher. So let's do it. We waited and waited and waited all off season to see what Phillies team was going to be presented to Clearwater, Florida, be presented to us. And it appears we have the team. We know who they are. There wasn't many moves made. So let's do it because now we know who's there.
We do.
I will start with you, John. Give me your starting lineup for the Philadelphia Phillies. Just your starting lineup.
Okay,
1
so I don't have
through
to do it.
9.
I'm not. Do I, oh, so I'm doing a batting order.
Yes,
Or
your
I'm doing
batting
that?
order.
Well, I'm absolutely. If I can have my way, and Rob Thompson, we know that Rob listens, right? So let's hope that Trey Turner's my leadoff hitter.
Okay.
I absolutely would have Trey Turner batting leadoff, and I would go unorthodox because I would have Bryce Harper batting second.
All right.
I am a fan of. I would love to see those two going back to back and see what they could bring to the table there. Then I'm a little torn on the third, but I'm going to go Bryson Stott ahead of Kyle Schwarber because I think that Schwarber should be a prototypical cleanup hitter, and maybe that to the analytics guys, that's old school. That doesn't make sense. So I'm going to have Schwarber there.
You got Schwarber 4?
Schwarber 4.
Okay.
I'm torn on where to go with as far as Real Muto, Castellanos. So I think I'm going to say Castellanos, Real Muto. So going 5-6, and then as at the end, I want the center. I would hope that our center fielder is going to be Johan Rojas. So I'm going to put him in the 9th spot. So now I got to ditch around and try to figure out when to go. Alec Boehm goes 7th. And then that leaves me with the other.
Marsh.
So it means with Marsh. So I would go Turner, Harper, Stott, Schwarber, Castellanos, Real Muto, Boehm, Marsh, Rojas. Just off the top of my head. That's where I'm going.
Okay. So you go righty, lefty, 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 righty, 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 lefty, righty.
Yeah, and I know that they'll never do that.
Yeah, and that doesn't work all that well now with the rules of baseball. So
with 3 innings,
but
it doesn't work to 3. It doesn't work to the 3 relief pitcher.
Right.
They'll move that around. They're never going to give me what I want. They're going to want Harper in the 3 spot. So there's going to be bouncing around with that. I just don't. I could see Real Muto as a 2-hitter, and that's what I almost did. I almost put Real Muto at 2, but his declining offensive performance it's slight decline, but it's decline. I think he'd be I think he could really thrive in that 2 hole, and then that would start to break up some of that righty lefty.
All right, keep your thinking cap on because there's more to come with this.
Okay, good.
Patrick, I need your Phillies opening day starting lineup.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome, Pat.
We will start out with the leadoff hitter being Trey Turner.
Okay.
I love that.
Your number 2 hitter is going to be Bryson Stott.
Uh-huh.
Your number 3 is going to be Bryce Harper. Your number 4 is going to be Kyle Schwarber. 5 will be JT Real Muto. 6 will be Nick Castellanos. 7 will be Alec Boehm. 8 will be Brandon Marsh. And 9 will be Johan Rojas.
So you flip 2 and 3 with me, and you flip 5 and 6 with me.
Yeah.
And yours makes so much more sense as far as bullpenish.
Well, don't worry, Johnny, because it's not happening.
It's not happening because we have, we
got to worry about comfortability.
We want to make sure he's comfortable because it's all about Kyle Schwarber being comfortable. Bob,
so in Pat's breakdown, he goes right, left, 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 right, 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 left, right. So you two are exactly the same on that.
But he flips.
I don't really care about
but he
lefty
flips 2 and 3. I don't either, but I know that it counts later. But 2 and 3 and 5 and 6, Pat and I just flip.
So my lineup goes with not only what I would like to see, but also I sprinkled in a little bit of what I think they'll do.
Okay.
So I'm leading off that Bryson Stott. I go Trey Turner 2. And it's funny, when I started doing this, I kind of kept putting arrows like, nah, Turner first, Stott 2. But the reason I have Turner 2 is because I have Harper 3. So I think they are so in love with the lefty-righty. I'm starting out lefty-righty, lefty. So I got Stott, Turner, Harper. I'm going to go Real Muto 4. A doubles guy, a guy that can knock in runs a little bit, whatever. And then go Schwarber 5 for that power, for that hopefully there's guys on base. And I'm still going all lefty-righties. I go Boehm 6, Castellanos 7th, Marsh Rojas. So my order goes lefty-righty, 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 righty, lefty-righty.
Yours is never going to be Rob Thompson's either.
Probably
but
not. We all have Turner.
But yours will be closer to Rob Thompson, like as far as just. But you have Schwarber at 5.
I have Schwarber at 5. Yeah.
To me, it's just something we're never going to see because this they're married to it, and I believe that somebody in the analytics department is married to it.
I
don't
give it a bigger shot than you do. Like give me your percentage of I'm blank % sure that Schwarber's going to be leading off this year.
80.
Pat, you there?
85.
Where do you go?
I go 60.
Wow.
I do think they're going to look at it. Look, he said it last year. He said that Trey Turner was his leadoff hitter. Trey Turner started off like crap. So he went to the Schwarber thing. It's a comfort, all that. You gotta have Schwarber back in the lineup. You have to move him back.
He's not. I don't. One thing is, but look, Rob Thompson has a lot of really good qualities. His players talk about them. The organization talks about it. His stability, his calmness, his making it a good work environment and everything. And he's had some success. One thing he hasn't shown me though is flexibility. Is that he's a guy who is going to learn from past mistakes and be flexible. I'm completely convinced Rob Thompson will keep doing the same things again. I think he's going to keep Schwarber where he is. I think he's going to be yanking pitchers too early. I think that the way he does things, the old dog, new tricks, he ain't learning new tricks.
All right, Pat, I'll start with you. Give me the rotation. Does it change from last year?
Not really. No. Your number one for me is Zach Wheeler. Number 2 is Aaron Nola.
That's a change, right?
Yeah, I just realized there was a change.
Yeah.
But number 2 is Aaron Nola. Number 3 is Ranger Suarez. Number 4 is Taijuan Walker. Number 5 is Christopher Sanchez.
I think you okay with that, John?
No, Pat, could you be manager? Because I like Pat's thinking a lot.
What are they paying?
Well, I don't know. Gift cards?
I don't think you would turn it down. Let's put it that way.
I mean, he's making good money. I like exactly that.
I think our rotations are all the same.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, Pat, I'll start with you on this one. Who's your closer? Your closer.
Oh, man, that's tough. I mean, I want to say Alvarado.
Then say it with your chest.
But I can't.
You
can't? I can't say it with my chest.
You can say whatever you want.
With what you want, you can say with your chest.
I don't really have any faith. I don't have faith in any of these guys to be closer. I'd like Kerkering to seize the job. I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get to do that. I'll say Alvarado because he's the most established guy. I like him in the current spot, though. I like him coming in the 7th and 8th.
I love Pat Egan's vision because that's what I want. I want the same thing. I want Alvarado. I want Kerkering may ascend to that role, but I want Alvarado, and I want Kerkering the 8th inning guy. I want him being one of those guys that he's learning, he's grooming, and he's ready to ascend.
Okay.
That's for me.
All right. I have Alvarado as my closer. I'm not wavering. That's who I want. I want him coming in, throwing 100 miles an hour, having that 1.3 ERA. I want him to be the closer because I think you have a lot of pieces. If Sir Anthony comes back to normal with Kerkering, with a lot of the guys that you have out there, I think you can settle in on a closer, and I think Alvarado's the best to do it. So
okay, so
I'll go with that.
We're in pretty much
the one place that we all are steadfast on that probably isn't going to be correct is that leadoff spot.
It's not going to. And the one thing is again, I'm not telling you that I don't believe that Rob Thompson is a successful manager. And I have heard enough people and enough people's opinions that I trust that tell me this is a really, really good guy and this is a guy that you want to play for and everything. And that's awesome. But I think his weaknesses and his stubbornness is never going to change. And I don't know if it's stubbornness or it's what's being dictated to him by the analytics department. And I believe the analytics department probably plays a heavy role in exactly everything they do on a daily basis. I don't believe he's got the great flexibility of other managers.
Why? What makes you say that?
Because I don't believe him when he says that, the arguments he makes about when he says comfortability about Kyle Schwarber. Part of me doesn't believe it.
Didn't you talk to somebody that told you that he doesn't get
that he's not
given the lineup?
That he doesn't get given the lineup is what I was told. That does, and someone that I really trust, by the way.
Well, you said his name on air.
Yeah, that doesn't believe that's going to be that is the kind of guy that's the kind of guy he is. But I also know that there are many in baseball who think this analytics department rules, that they rule, that the meetings are there, that they put a lot into it. And by the way, the Eagles do too. There's a lot into it as far as determining that. And if it is about comfortability of Kyle Schwarber, then again, we're going to fall down to we're going to continually fall to the same things that other teams adjust to. What did Houston do? What did Arizona do? Houston and Arizona didn't throw a strike to Kyle Schwarber, didn't throw a strike to Bryce Harper. It sent this team down in flames when it meant the most 2 years in a row. And they're going to, and I have every confidence they're going to do the same strategy again. And we're just going to hope that somehow it turns out differently this time. And that bums me out. That really does bum me out.
Yeah, it's probably hard for a guy like him to change his ways when you look at he came into the middle of the season and took a team to a World Series. The next year, he takes a team to the brink of the World Series. Maybe in his mind, I don't know, in the organization's mind, well, don't change all that up all too much. You've had wild success so far. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think he's going to give it a look, though. I think we're going to say, oh, look at that. Stott's leadoff hitter today, and both he and Schwarber are in the lineup in spring training. Okay. Oh, look at that. Trey Turner's leading off today.
Are you trying to make me, really have smiles and happiness today? Because that would do it. That would do it.
I think we're going to see it. I think we're going to see it this spring training. I don't think you're just going to see, because of what you said, John. You're right. Teams took different approaches against them last year.
They didn't throw them strikes in for the last three games of their seasons, the last 2 years. World Series, National League Championship Series. They just finally said, why are we pitching to Harper? Why are we pitching to Schwarber? And they stopped pitching to them, threw them no strikes, and Schwarber and Harper didn't swing at strikes. They just swung at balls. And they're trying to make something happen, and they're jacked up. But once teams start to say, well, I'm not pitching to them. Whereas if it was a different lineup, they'd have to pitch.
Yeah.
They'd be required to pitch to him. If you had Kyle Schwarber coming up behind Bryce Harper, you've already got a man on base. Bryce Harper's up at the plate. Schwarber's coming up, either right behind him or two behind him. You have to approach Bryce Harper differently. When you have Schwarber at the top of the lineup, it's a completely different thing. And maybe since you have 8th and 9th hitters going before him in the lineup as it rolls around, he doesn't have guys on base. He doesn't have ducks in the pond. That's why he hits all those solo home runs. Because you're wasting those home runs in the one spot.
Yeah, and look, is it cool to get out to a start, with him hitting a home run? Yeah, in the postseason, that's great. But he's probably only leading off an inning once. So I
remember I looked at it. I did the math. It was over 200 at bats that he was coming on with nobody on base.
Right.
And that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So I would love to see that power deeper in the order.
I'm so excited, though, that pitchers and catchers report tomorrow, because that is exciting. I don't need to have the countdown of days to the season and everything. But I'm anxious to see. The games don't matter, but the approach of spring training matters to me. And I want to see experimentation, Bob. I want to see them experimenting. I want to see creativity in lineups during spring when it doesn't matter. That's what I'm looking for. Will we see it? I'm not confident we will, but I know that Rob Thompson can deliver a team to the postseason ready to win.
Yeah,
he's done it 2 years in a row.
And you're close. We just went through an order which is really good.
Yes, that's a very
really good lineup. What you can explore. You talked about JT maybe going to number 2. You like to see him there. I had him at number 4. Pat had him at 5. You could do that with Harper. You could have him lead off 2, 3, 4. There's so many guys in this order, and we saw it last year. He did do that. When Castellanos got hot, moves him up to number 5. When he started to slump a little bit, he moved him back down to 7. He did a decent job of rotating that lineup a lot. Just do it with the leadoff hitter. I'm begging you.
And the amount of pitches that Stott sees, Pat, what Bob putting Stott up there.
Yeah, that's why I put him up.
To me, but if you have Stott, would you ever go for a Stott Harper, Turner, Schwarber order?
Yeah.
Or do you think it would have to be
anybody that's not Kyle Schwarber leading off? I'm a fan of.
that? Would it make sense to go?
Yeah.
No, would it make sense to be to have Bryce ahead of Turner? A high on base guy with Turner.
Sure. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever. And whatever's going to push Kyle Schwarber down the lineup to hit with guys on base, I'm fine with. I mean, Trey Turner hits 25 to 30 home runs. So, yeah, all right, that's cool. Would I flip-flop Trey Turner with Bryce Harper? Yeah, I would, but the on-base thing, it's real, so fine. Yeah, okay.
And you know
no problem.
Most of our lineup is due to the fact, and of course we have to do that, of what guys have done in years past, right? We know Schwarber hits home runs, Trey Turner hoping to be what Trey Turner was in the second half of the season, and Bryce Harper and all. I don't think and I know I didn't, I can't speak for you guys, but have we taken into account the progression that we should see from an Alec Boehm? Well, he was a 280 hitter last year. He's just like somebody asked. This was the quote that stuck out to me about the Phillies last year. They said, "Oh, Alec Boehm put on 15 pounds of muscle," and people were speculating, and Rob Thompson spoke of it. They went to Alec Boehm, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm still growing." That was like pretty cool. It hit me like, yeah, he probably is. He's just growing. He's getting stronger. My kids get stronger from age 20 to 26. When you
get more focused on your nutrition,
sure,
you get more focused. Look at you covered Embiid in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah,
Embiid doesn't look the same, right?
Oh God, no.
Right,
no.
exactly. I mean, you're gonna get more mature about your choices.
Yeah. So Alec Boehm, we all have him 6th or 7th in the lineup, something like that.
Yes,
what do we have him? 6th
I have him
or 7th. Yeah,
right.
In the lineup. That's a kid that you got to keep an eye on. That might be the guy that, no, he's your 4-hole hitter, and JT or whoever we have maybe moves down a little bit. Alec Boehm's a big key to this lineup. If you say to me who you most anxious to watch this year, last year it was Stott to me. This year I think it's Alec Boehm.
I think it's going to be it's nice to have young talent, young pieces. To me, I'm fascinated with Rojas. Can they somehow make Rojas serviceable at the plate just to be even 220, I'd be fine. I would just be fine not seeing the automatic out.
Yeah.
If Rojas is there, because as Ricky Bo told us a few weeks ago, just put him out there. He's saving a run. He was saving runs routinely, and he may have saved Game 4 with that catch. Against the wall. So lots of stuff going on that to get you excited. Pitchers and catchers reporting tomorrow. Pat had a question about Nick Sirianni. And I thought it seemed like a simple question. But then it gets a little more complex. And it may or may not put you in a positive state of mind about the head coach of the Eagles. That's coming up. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers win, Flyers win. I'm Pat.
Kincade Show. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Oh, this snow's coming down, Bobby. Everybody out there on the roadway.
It always comes down. It doesn't go up.
You're very talented. Be careful out there on the roadways and stay with the Fanatic all day long. Just cuddle up with us as we approach Valentine's Day. Cuddling up. One of our listeners says that he was laughing, Pat, at your line. Eric, he says, Pat's an absolute gem. He cracks me up. Said John's wife doesn't want PB&J for Valentine's Day. I could so see John making that for his wife. And I told him, Eric, I do very little in the kitchen.
Well, to Eric, just know that you're not skimping. It's artisanal bread. It's the bougie Whole Foods peanut butter. It's organic jelly. You're going all out.
Strawberry preserves. That's the best thing to put on.
The best, Jerry, the best.
Let me do you a favor. Relax, Gordon Ramsay. This is between two guys who can't cook. All right? I don't need you sitting here all Bobby flaying it up. All right?
Pat, I got to tell you, it was for me it's Jif creamy only.
Oh, well, we proved that.
It has to be Jif creamy, right? I picked.
Nobody knows peanut butter like John Kincade over here.
There's only one brand that I can.
We don't know if you know sports at all, but
I know peanut butter.
Peanut butter, we've proven that.
Blind taste test. I can do that one. I said I am brand loyal to the folks at Jif. It's got to be Jif. And it's got to be creamy. The people who eat the crunchy, I can't imagine it in a sandwich.
I don't
spread
mind.
On bread.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine. But I haven't had peanut butter spread on bread. I don't know the longest time.
We have both creamy and chunky peanut butter, and every once in a while,
what brand? Or do you bounce around?
I don't. I guess either. It's Skippy, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes on a weekend morning, I always make breakfast for the family on the weekends, and sometimes I might eat a little something before I start cooking. A couple pieces of toast with chunky peanut butter to get the day started. I
don't mind that. That doesn't sound too bad.
No.
Well, obviously, on a day like this, we're concerned because all of our listeners out there and everything, and we always used to bring you Connor outside. Well, I think, Pat, you threw down the gauntlet. Brendan Gunn wants to have the same sort of career path that Connor Thomas has. Rising star at 97.5 The Fanatic. And so we go now live to our weather boy, Brendan Gunn, out there in the what's it like out there in the parking lot?
It's still coming down hard out here, guys. It's thick snow. It's the wet kind of snow where it sticks right away, perfect for snowballs. There may or not be a drawing on John's windshield right now. I can't confirm that.
Is it a phallic item?
It may or may not be something you see in 7th grade health class. But, if it keeps coming down like this, I don't know if anyone's seen this much snow since Michael Irving in 1996.
Well, that's very good. I said so we're sitting about, would you say it's around 2 inches right now, maybe 3?
I would say so. I'm Irish, so I know my way around a good 2-3 inches. So it's getting there.
Brendan Gunn's bringing it.
Wow.
This is really
expect
good.
Much, but with the snow line of Michael Irvin and the Irish line,
I think. Are you clearing off Haley's car? Was one of the questions. Are you doing that for her?
Her car's looking pretty good right now. I'll help her out after the show for sure.
I think Adam Joseph's shaking in his boots right now.
I'm coming up next.
There you go, Brendan Gunn. Oh man, he's Brendan Gunn. B. It's Gunn in the conditions outside. So everybody, be careful. Just be careful out there on the way. We'll look forward to trying to entertain you all day long. Pat, you had a question that you put in our pre-show, and I thought it seemed like a simple question.
Yeah.
And then I started to think maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. About the two coaches that we saw on Sunday night in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so you saw, obviously, one of the best of all time in Andy Reid, and then you saw Kyle Shanahan, who you could make the case at this point might be the biggest choke artist in NFL history. The blown leads that this guy has had.
45 points in 3 games.
It's insane. Like, we talked about Josh Allen earlier. Kyle Shanahan does not know how to coach in the big game. And he almost, if Dan Campbell doesn't screw up, he would have lost that game at home. So you've got two kind of polar opposite coaches at this point. Andy Reid has solidified himself in Kansas City as a guy that knows how to win the big game. Unfortunately, he didn't do it here, but he knows how to win the big game at this point, right? And then Kyle Shanahan, knows how to blow the big game. Where's Nick Sirianni, and who's he closest to? Now, obviously, Nick Sirianni's in the middle somewhere, but it's kind of like what we talked about earlier with the thumbs up, thumbs down, and then a couple guys we put like in the middle. Where's Nick Sirianni leaning? Is he, in your opinion, is he leaning more Shanahan or is he leaning more Andy Reid-ish? The guy you have faith in at this point, in Andy Reid, or the guy that you're just kind of waiting to see how he screws it up?
If you had asked me this question last February, I would have had a different answer. I'm leaning towards it's Shanahan based on that criteria. But one thing that I think that Nick Sirianni has going for him that sort of is an Andy Reid-ish quality is that relationship with the players that seems very comfortable when you see them interacting.
It makes it easier.
Kyle is more old school than Reid is, and Kyle's the younger man. And maybe Andy Reid is it's just his DNA. It's just who he is.
Wait a sec. Why do you mean Kyle Shanahan's the old man? In what way?
Because Kyle Shanahan is more old school in his approach to coaching, tougher training camp, he's not as chummy with his players as Andy Reid agrees. And by the way,
I haven't heard that word in years.
By the way, what Andy Reid did yesterday after the game and then yesterday for Travis Kelce, just as he is a kind man. He just did everything he could to make sure that thing was not going to get any legs on it. He was going to make sure it got no legs. Yeah, it's me and him. That's our relationship. I trust him. I love him and everything. And Andy he just took it. He just took it. And I think that Nick Sirianni showed me that quality, that he was willing to he covered for Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown when they went rogue, and the rest of the team had a play that was called, and they decided to do their own thing. He took the heat for it with one of the stupidest answers I've ever heard, but he was willing to take the heat for it. So I think that in some ways, Nick Sirianni has a lot of Andy Reid in that regard to him. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Nick Sirianni and Andy Reid. I would stop the comparison right about there if we're going to say they're nice guys. Yeah, that's cool. They're both nice guys.
That's where I was going,
yes. Big game. He's had one that was close, big time in a big game. Nick Sirianni did, and he didn't do anything that really made me come away from saying, "Ooh, he couldn't handle it." I mean, the reason the Eagles lost that Super Bowl wasn't something that he called, didn't call, decision he made, didn't make. So again, I'll say book's still out. How about that?
Okay,
book's still out. Yeah.
You got to lean one way or the other.
You got to lean. Got to get yourself lean.
Okay, I will. If I was asked, who would I rather want? How comfortable do I feel with Nick Sirianni making a big decision late in a big game? Not good.
So that leans more towards Kyle Shanahan.
Leans more towards that, yes.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I mean, I think the book is yet to be written and jury's still out, but I lean more towards he's Kyle Shanahan. I don't have a lot of faith, big moments. He knows what to do.
Well, it was an interesting one yesterday. I saw Pat sort of to speak to that is every coach who has won a Super Bowl with a franchise has done it within their first 7 seasons. And if you don't do it in the first 7 seasons, you don't do it. And Kyle Shanahan has done 7 seasons now in San Francisco. Now, you may put nothing into that or otherwise, but he's passed his 7 seasons.
It makes a lot of sense to me, actually.
Because guys get fired?
Yeah, guys get fired. I mean, it becomes apparent pretty quickly with a lot of coaches if they have it or they don't. Like Hugh Jackson, you knew right away, okay, this guy, bad coach. Chip Kelly wore out after 3 years. 7 seasons is a long, long time.
That's a lot of tenure.
I'd be interested to hear what the average lifespan of an NFL head coach is with a team. Because I guarantee it's not 7. So if you're less than 7, yeah, you probably have one. Or you're in that Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid and Philly category of, you're getting so close that how do you justify firing that guy?
Well, it's like Brian Billick Like, he won that Super Bowl. And I think that Brian Billick always sort of got looked at like a Doug Peterson type, where Brian Billick wasn't the reason that they won the Super Bowl. That he sort of got he was there for it.
Well, you know why? Because, in my opinion, all right, what is Shanahan? He's an offensive genius. He's a guy that you see, oh, my God, look at this offense. Look at all the different things that they do. Brian Billick is a great defensive-minded coach. Some may consider him, a top of his time. That's not fancy. That's not going to get you the, wow, look how good he is. Now, Belichick was the same, but he also had the greatest offensive player in the history of the game. So, but Brian Billick, that's not going to, it's not going to suit your fancy because it's a defensive-minded type of thing.
I'm so interested to see I wonder what Nick Sirianni could learn from both guys, Pat. Like, that would make him better, because I don't think he has and again, I'm not trying to take a shot here, but I don't believe he has the football intellect of Kyle Shanahan. I don't like offensively or others. I mean, Kyle Shanahan was raised in a football house where his dad was a Super Bowl winning coach, multiple Super Bowls. His dad was one of and
let's not forget Nick Sirianni grew up in the household of a high school football coaching legend.
Don't
downplay that. Super Bowls are cool. High school legends, though,
it is the truth.
Last forever.
I think Kyle Shanahan's story is more relatable, like in the locker room. More relatable.
I don't know. I mean, go to upstate New York and ask around about the Siriannis.
I don't know why you hold that against them.
Because it
comes up too often.
It's so like Polk high school-ish.
Yes.
Al Bundy. Like, I don't need to hear about your brother and his high school coaching tree and, your dad being a high school coach. Like, you're in the NFL, dude. Like, stop living in the past of high school football. You're in the NFL. You're multiple steps away from high school. And by the way, your offense looked high school-ish.
And I think everybody in his room that he's speaking to, Bob, would be more the issue that I would have with it.
But you're right. I got to let it go.
Everybody that he speaks to in his room that he's trying to motivate, they've all played. The vast majority of them have played big-time college football and then been in the pros. There's stories to pull from. There's things to pull from that have nothing to do with someone that they don't know and somebody that coaching at a high school level with it just doesn't relate. Like, to me, that doesn't relate.
To you.
Yeah, it doesn't relate because they played big-time college football.
I've told you guys this story before, that sitting in a locker room and just shooting the crap without being on record or anything like that, I've told you guys this, 90% of the time, if we're just sharing stories with players and all, the stories go back to high school. We're talking people that played at Duke, Kentucky, name all the biggest schools you want. Your fondest memories, a lot of times, just go back to your formative years.
But is it about your brother's high school coaching career?
It doesn't. Look, I'm not saying it's the end-all, be-all. Maybe some guys roll their eyes and say whatever. But the guy comes from a football family, and he just shared that, and he shared it a few times with everybody. If you go ask a guy a story about his football playing days, I don't care if the guy's an all-pro, a lot of times it'll go back to high school.
It'll be a high school story.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, high school is that formative year. When you get to college, it becomes a business. We all know it. It does.
No
you
question.
go to college and you're Georgia or whatever other big school that you're in love with that you name. Like, it does. It kind of becomes a business. Your formative high school stuff. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not making this stuff up for the story. I've told you guys this before. Sitting around and talking to guys, professional players, feet up, nothing on record. Man, the stories from high school come flooding out. Just flooding out because that's the formative years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Fletcher Cox, tell me about a high school story. Jalen Hurts, tell me about a high school story. Even Nick Sirianni himself, tell me about a high school story. Tell me about your brother's high school story. I just think it just is a little bit strange to me. I feel the same way, but Pat, we do sort of have to get over it.
I do. It's a me problem. This is an absolute me problem, and
I share it
I hear it,
I share it with you.
When I hear it in the regular season and they're winning, I just roll my eyes, and when they're losing, I harp on it.
And obviously, there was not a connection in that locker room, a good connection in that locker room last year. That locker room fell apart as far as the performance level. I don't believe that they fell apart. I don't believe it was a locker room that was turmoil with each other. I think it was against what they were getting coached and how they were being directed. And I would probably, from what it would appear, direct that more. I bet you Jeffrey Lurie heard more stories talking to veteran players and everything that it was the assistant coaches, because they're the ones that went. Jeffrey Lurie has parted ways with coaches before. He'll part ways with a head coach. He won't give him a free pass. And so I do believe that probably when he did his reconnaissance, him and Howie at the end of the year, more players pointed the fingers at Sean Desai and Brian Johnson. And Brian Johnson ends up being he's going to be like an offensive analyst for the Commanders.
Yeah, saw that.
Yeah,
good on him.
He's getting head coaching interviews.
Yeah,
and nobody tossed him the keys to an offense.
It's a weird dynamic. I'm not going to pretend to know like how the locker room was. We didn't hear much that it was bad.
Right. No.
But a lot of the locker room goes on without anybody being in there. So, you were talking the other day how you appreciated Britton Covey's honesty of saying, oh, no, there was finger pointing from players to coaches, from players to players, all that. Well, when you hear that doesn't say to me that that's a good locker room.
Well, the thing is, though, there was finger pointing on the sidelines the other night in Kansas City. They won the Super Bowl.
Sure.
So, I mean, you've seen it all. You've seen dysfunctional teams. I guarantee you've been in dysfunctional team locker rooms where they were very successful. But they had dysfunction.
That won 10 games.
Right, exactly.
You talk about 82,
that.
So you never know. You never know. And how important is it? I don't know. I told you before that I had a non-player player who was sitting in his locker and a star player get up and start do stuff in the locker room, and the other one stood up and got in his face and told him to shut the F up. I was like, whoa, this is going to get bad. That team went out and played like their best couple of games after that. Did it have anything to do with it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how important it is. When Drew Holiday and Evan Turner were here, you thought that was going to, all right, they got their backcourt. Those two would leave the locker room all the time and go play video games with each other right after games. And I know talking to some people, they're like, yeah, we'd rather us all kind of get together and do stuff. And nothing against them. That's who they were. They were younger guys and everything like that. You just don't know how certain guys view what a locker room should be, nor if it matters. There's a expression, I'm sure you've heard it in baseball, of 25 cabs. And that after a game, you have every single guy going their own direction, doing their own thing, and not that team camaraderie. Mm-hmm. I think the Phillies appear to have it. But again, last year was a different situation. The year before, I was in that clubhouse 7 times, and I hear people all the time talk about what they comment on what the clubhouse is. And, Bob, I'm going to tell you, I never saw anything in the clubhouse that gave me an indication, because when we leave, when the media leaves, that's when the clubhouse does their business. They don't do it in front of the media. They're not holding the discussions about, man, I hate this coach. You may have a player, the guys who are connected on a beat may have players they can go to and get stories and hear about things. But you rarely ever get to get the true story by just observing during open media sessions in a locker room. No, especially at home. The way you judge a locker room or anything like that is by being with them, in my feeling, is being around a team on a road away from most people. On a road, see who goes out. I'll give you an example of that. So, what's his face? Eddie Jordan was the coach here in Philadelphia for the 1 year, right? I'm coaching the team. Team was, oh, my God, horrible. When you can't imagine how bad they were. And Eddie Jordan had a lot to do with it. We get to Toronto. They're playing their last game before the All-Star break.
Okay.
We get unbelievable snowstorm in Toronto that day. Team can't fly out. Players are looking to go all sorts of places.
And they're not going to be able to get out.
Can't do anything. So get word right after the game that there's no plane going out. You're here till tomorrow. Everything's canceled. Whatever. What was it? Oh, I write my story. I take a cab to the team hotel because I was meeting people there to get something to eat after the game. I'm getting out of the hotel, and I hear people screaming my name. And I look over. Here comes 4 players from that team running at me. Kuhn, hold up. Hold that cab for us, please. Hold that cab. They were all going out together. These guys really liked hanging out with each other. They you wouldn't have guessed the locker room was great from the performance of the team.
But the culture amongst them.
Yeah, and they thought it funny that they would come to me individually and talk about what was going on with the team. Like they made a, I forget who it was. It might have been Jason Capono, who wanted to put a sign on me that said the doctor is in, the doctor is out, like they did in Snoopy, because they would just come to me and talk to me about it. Like you would never think it. So that's why I do put a lot on leadership and a lot on what the locker room was or wasn't. You just don't really know.
I wrote a piece last week for 97.5 The Fanatic. It's still up there. I'm sure that about the amount of times that I hear fans call into the station, or I will listen. And I'm a big fan of podcasts. I like sampling fan podcasts and things like that. And I'll hear people commenting on the locker room. And I'll look at the person and go, I've never seen that person in a locker room. I don't believe they go in the locker room. So I don't know how they're commenting on the locker room or who's telling them about the locker room. Now, when I hear Jeff McClain, Pat, talk to me on his podcast, when I hear Tim McManus.
Yeah, it means more.
Those guys, if they tell me about the locker room.
They live in the locker room.
I'm all ears. Zach Berman, I'm all ears.
They got cots.
Yeah, I mean, those guys.
They got cots.
Our own Andrew DiCecco. They're constantly there.
They got pillows.
I am all in on listening to them tell me about what they observed. But even they have such a better idea about it because they've got the personal contacts. They're working every day. But even then, it goes on when the doors are closed is when the real stuff goes down in the locker room. As far as where you're going to get the real story of what happens. And that's why those beat guys, we live in we are absolutely blessed in this city with the beats we have going on here. It's some of the best that I've seen out there. Let's put it that way. So we look forward to having you hang out with us. Hopefully the weather in your area is fine. There is one thing that needs to go by the wayside, and it's an excuse that was leveraged in the Eagles' favor this year. Coming up, John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update. And WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I see Chunas is in, so there will be a midday show. I saw Vito walking around, so obviously he found his way in. Colin's here. Colin Newby's here. Everybody made it in here. We're ready to go. Ray Dunn's here. So we're finding our way around. Just be careful out there. Be careful on the roadways. It is a snowy morning, and hopefully we're helping keep you toasty warm here on the John Kincade Show.
Mike Vito brought in soft pretzels, too.
Vito, thank you.
Soft pretzel is a food that I could eat any time of the day.
Absolutely. Why not?
Right?
No, there's no question with that. That's a beautiful
sure.
thing.
All right.
You can have that at
Were you looking for like affirmation on that, or
Well, I was
like an okay or a thumbs up?
Is there a lot of foods that you could eat any time during the day?
No.
Ice cream. I could eat ice cream at any time during the day.
I can't roll out of bed and have ice cream.
I couldn't either.
Well, some people are just built different,
Right,
Bob.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying
you don't
I
have
couldn't.
that dog in you.
No, you're kind of right on that. Yeah.
Other foods.
I did get some ice cream like 2 weeks ago. I got a pint of mint chocolate.
I could eat
Chocolate
pizza.
chips.
I could eat pizza any time of the morning.
See, I can't do that.
I can eat pizza or I can eat tomato pie.
I can eat pancakes.
Shout out to Corporalees.
Corporalees is great.
They are great. Absolutely
I could
awesome.
get up and eat cold pizza. Yeah. I don't want.
Yeah,
I don't
do
want
that.
warm pizza. I warm. Yeah, I wouldn't heat
You
it
can't
up
eat
and
eggs at dinner.
I don't like breakfast stuff at dinner time. My parents used to do that every once in a
Pancakes.
while.
Oh, pancakes I can have for dinner.
Yeah, pancakes or
No.
waffles I can have at any point.
I could do that. So
I
there
can't
is some
do it. I don't know
oddities we
why.
got.
I can't.
There is one excuse that was offered around the Eagles, and I don't know that it was an excuse. I think probably it was something that you kept using as an explanation about the Super Bowl hangover. Well, the Super Bowl hangover, that's the reason that the Eagles didn't have a good year, because, you have the Super Bowl hangover. That's the problem of when you don't win the Super Bowl. That's what happens to you. So I just looked back to where the Eagles, and I only went back as far as just the Eagles' Super Bowl season of 2017. And I looked and I said, okay, Super Bowl hangover. In 2017, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, the Falcons went 10-6. They had lost the year before in the Super Bowl. Horrifying fashion. Thanks, Kyle Shanahan, to that one. They went 10-6. Lost in the divisional round after winning a wild card game at Los Angeles, and then almost beat the Eagles. And so I don't know how that's a Super Bowl hangover then. The next year, the Eagles went 9-7. They were having quarterback issues in the beginning of the year, and they lost in the divisional round at New Orleans after winning a wild card game. So very similar to what the Falcons did the year before. Won a wild card game on the road, and then lost in the divisional round at New Orleans, and they easily could have won that game. You could have seen that game going differently. The next year, the Rams went, after they lost the Super Bowl to New England, they went 9-7, winning season, missed the playoffs. The only team with a losing season is the 2020 49ers, who went 6-10 and missed the playoffs. The Chiefs lost the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay in 2020. They went 12-5 and then lost the AFC title game. The Bengals lost the Super Bowl to the Rams. The next year, they went 12-5 and lost the AFC title game. The Eagles this year went 11-6 again and lost a wild card game. I don't think you can really say Super Bowl hangover is a thing. If you teams getting to you were in the Super Bowl one year and lost in the AFC title game the next year, or you lost in you won playoff games, if you have a winning season, I'm not sure you can call it that you can say that there is such a thing as a Super Bowl hangover. And if you go and you win a playoff game, which the majority of these teams did, I don't think you can call it a Super Bowl hangover. The majority of teams go and win a playoff game, some of them multiple, I don't think you can say, yeah, Super Bowl hangover is the thing. I don't believe it there. And
Well, how do you get to a Super Bowl?
What do you
You're a
mean?
really good team.
Yes, and then you have and things break your way. You got to have things break your way in a Super Bowl. You got to be healthy.
Yeah, but
lot of
in
things
general,
happen.
you have to have really good talent, right? So, some teams buy all in for a season. The Rams did; it got them a Super Bowl and all. But usually you have to have really good talent to get to a Super Bowl. So, unless that all goes away in a year, you should be there for a little bit. That's why dynasties, though, are so tough. As you said, John, you need some breaks. You need things to go your way.
Health is a big part of it, too.
Yeah, you can have you can have a really good team, but just not, win championships. That's why it's so impressive what Kansas City has done. It's so impressive what New England used to do. And then going back in the day, the types likes of the Steelers or the Cowboys. It's hard to do that. It's hard to have breaks go your way. It's hard to keep a bunch of talent together. It's hard to stay on top of your game. But like I said, a couple weeks ago, that how do you not get a hangover? You stay drunk. Well, Kansas City just decided, and
By the way, so many people loved that line last week.
But you Kansas City just stays drunk. They don't know any better than to not go to a Super Bowl. They don't know any better not to be like, what are you talking about? Yeah, that's what Andy Reid went to the podium yesterday. He said, yeah, I was just talking to him. I think it was his PR guy, and he forgot his name for a second. He's like, yeah, I was just talking to Ted, and Ted said, I asked Ted how many teams have won 3 in a row as we were walking up to the podium, and he said none. And Andy Reid went, so, just insinuating, that's our plan, and it should be their plan. But they don't get hangovers because they just stay drunk. They stay on the course of, what do you mean we're not going to the Super Bowl? Yes, we are, and that's cool. That's what cultures, that's what dynasties do.
I love the fact that, to Andy Reid, I don't know if you heard some of the stuff, he didn't know where the stuff about him retiring was coming from. He was just and Patrick Mahomes said they flat out laughed about it in the locker room. When they saw people saying Andy Reid could retire, could walk off on the sunset, and Patrick Mahomes is like, he loves this. He comes to work bouncing off the walls every day. He's happy. He's enjoying it. He's invigorated. And they were laughing about the reports saying Andy Reid could retire. Watch. Andy's like, no, I'm not retiring. I'm not retiring. I'm not going anywhere.
I think Mahomes came out and said the dude loves food and football. That's his life. I can't see him changing. And that's cool. And I'll tell you that I do miss Andy Reid a little bit. When things are good, Andy Reid is really fun. And really, I think he's just a good guy. I really do. If you look on the sidelines when they win a Super Bowl, he can't wait to congratulate and hug people of importance to him. And gets on the stage and says, "How about that Big D?" He's pointing out Steve Spagnuolo right away. And you see who was lying on the ground, Jones, when he jumped on top of him, and he just seems like the everything, the big daddy, the uncle, whatever you want to call it. I really do appreciate him.
Do you believe, Pat, there's any way Andy Reid becomes Andy Reid here? That he would have found a quarterback here? He would have. Well, remember, he was trying to get Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to get Russell Wilson. He offered a pick for Kaepernick. He obviously drafted Kevin Cobb. He always seemed to be kind of on the lookout for that guy. Do I think that he would have ended up becoming the coach that got over the hump?
Yes, and the coach that he is now, 4 Super Bowls in Kansas City,
I kind of
3 wins.
I kind of think he needed to go elsewhere, and it's not necessarily I think that he was doomed in Philly, but I do think that there was a monkey off his back and a pressure that wasn't there when he left here and went to KC. And I bring it up a lot, but that first coaches symposium where, they have the media around everybody, and Chip Kelly's got 13 guys. He's got guys that are living in their mom's house, writing blogs, grilling him about questions. And Andy Reid's sitting there with 3 beat writers, and that's it. And the pressure to win in Kansas City, I think, helped him a little bit. I mean, ultimately, though, he had success early. He trades a second-round pick for Alex Smith. Alex Smith gets him to the playoffs, and Alex Smith's success gives them the luxury of sitting Patrick Mahomes for a year, which I ultimately think is the reason why Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. I think if Patrick Mahomes started right out the gate, like a lot of the quarterbacks that you mentioned earlier in the show that were drafted in the top 10 and
were
haven't
top 5.
Yeah, and haven't been good. I think one of the reasons why they haven't been good is because they're thrown to the wolves now. There's no longer a situation of you sit and you learn. It's no, I don't have a 5-year plan. I have a 2-month plan. So we spent a high draft pick on you. You're going to start, and we're going to sink or swim. I think a lot of them end up sinking more than swimming, and it's because they don't sit and learn. Patrick Mahomes was able to sit and learn for a full year under Alex Smith, a veteran. And I don't know if Andy makes those moves in Philly because there's a lot of pressure, and we didn't deal well with the Sam Bradford trade because it was a similar thing. Like Sam Bradford was Alex Smith. It was like, okay, he's an okay quarterback, but he ain't winning you anything.
He went 10 for 10 in a preseason game in Green Bay. Pat.
I remember
Never
that.
forget. Yeah,
Stop
10
it.
passes at Lambeau.
How many?
The 30 for 30 is coming.
Guess how many wins in just his first 5 seasons? How many playoff wins Andy Reid had in Kansas City?
In
One?
Kansas City?
Yeah.
In his first 5?
Uh-huh.
The first year was bad. I'll say he had 7.
Oh, I'll go 1.
Pat, ding, ding, ding.
Really?
1 in his first 5 seasons. So he started his first season 9-0 and then lost
Oh, it
like
wasn't
6 of
bad
the next
then.
8. No, lost like 6 of the next 8. So my point being, here's a guy that you got, and I don't want to say an older guy, but a guy whose time ran out in another place that he was there for a while. Kansas City had enough patience after 5 seasons and just 1 playoff win to stick with them. Now, kudos to the family of the ownership group of that team, but also kudos to Andy Reid to making them have enough confidence in him to say, no, we're sticking with you. He was doing something right. And the Patrick Mahomes thing, as you pointed out, Pat, was a big step in the right direction, obviously. But, his success right now, it's just wild, isn't it?
It is. Somehow I thought that it had started out poorly. That started out great.
If you would have told me when he left here that he would ultimately win a Super Bowl, I would not have been surprised. If you would have told me he's going to go on and win 3 Super Bowls, I would have been
And go to another
very
one.
surprised.
I mean, it's
He's won 3 in 5 years. It's incredible.
and gone to 4 of those.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly is. And I think the majority of people, even though there is a little bit of burnout with it, are still really happy for him. The way that it's working out.
Yeah, we did a thing yesterday. Right? Was it yesterday, Pat, that Dylan asked us for Instagram?
Right.
Are you happy for the Chiefs? And Pat said, yes. And that's all he said. And Dylan was looking for explanations. So then I went on and said, no, just to counter Pat's yes. But I am. The more I watch Andy Reid, I am happy for him. And we all know a couple of people on that staff in Rick Burkholder and Steve Spagnuolo and all those guys. So, I am happy for him. And the more I see him, the more I like Andy Reid.
So you're watching the Flyers last night, Bob, and you had a question about I guess sort of competing, looking at different rosters in the city, looking at different teams in the city, and the Flyers. Honestly, the Flyers have not been on our radar till this year for the most part on this show.
Yeah, we can argue about different questions, right? And, let's do the old radio thing. All right, out of the 4 teams, who has the best chance to win the next championship? We have that. Who's got the best roster? We can go up and down there, the best coach. There's all these questions. I think the Flyers answer one right now, at least in my book.
Are you going to tell me best coach?
No. I mean, that's not the first thing that came to my mind. He could be. I really like what John Tortorella has done with this team, and he
I
fascinates me.
think he's the most accomplished coach in town.
Probably.
Clearly.
Yeah, he fascinates me. It's like my goal. I have to have a sit-down with him before this year is over.
Find him so interesting.
I do. I do find him interesting, and I think I could get a lot out of him as far as what I want to hear.
You had the best question that he was asked the entire offseason.
Yeah. But no, my question to you and my answer is the Flyers. Who's the most fun team in this city right now?
There's no question because there's no expectation.
Now, yeah, exactly. And I labeled it yesterday as, look, they're the can do no wrong team right now. And they're in a position where very, very, very few teams in the history of my lifetime have been in that position in a season. Like, they can't do anything wrong.
In this city.
Yeah, in
That's
this
absolutely.
city, right.
I mean, that never happens hardly in this city.
Yeah, and Look, we can debate, well, if they start trying to buy, they're not going to do that. They're just not doing it. So I'm not going to put that. Yes, that would be a bad mistake, but they're not doing it. They told us they're not doing it. I believe they're not doing it. But I do. The more I watch this team, from blocking shots to, like, Travis Konechny, we've interviewed him, stood next to him and all. He's not a big dude.
No.
And the fact that he goes out there and makes runs at people when they, maybe hit somebody from behind or get into the crease or anything like that, I love it. The blocking shots, the roles that have been made for certain players, phenomenal. The up-and-coming young guys that you can watch and say, man, this kid might be a sniper in years to come or 4 years to come. They might be, and Pat, I want to see what you say on this, because John said without a question, they might be in my book they are. They might be the funnest team in this town right now.
Well, let's go through it. I mean, the Eagles aren't fun.
No.
Nothing fun. No fun there.
It's no fun
Football
watching Joel
is not
Embiid
fun,
get another
sir.
injury.
Exactly, and the Sixers right now aren't fun. Now, they won last night, and that was fun because it was a ragtag group, but I think for the most part, when you look at February, you're going to have a lot more not fun games than fun games. All right, so you go to the Phillies. The Phillies can be fun, but it's such a long stretch. And for me, at least, even though the truck's leaving today, tomorrow, whenever they're leaving or whatever.
No, it's already arrived.
Okay, great. It's still a ways away. Like, people celebrating the trucks leaving to me is up there with schedule release.
And tweeting about it.
Yeah, of things that annoy me in sports because I'm like,
But
great,
there was
we're still
3,250 packs of gum, Pat.
cool. It's still 7 weeks away. Awesome. It's still a ways away. So the fun there hasn't even begun for me. Yeah, the Flyers would be it. I mean, the Flyers are undefeated in February. So right now, if you're looking for a fun draw, that's it. And Tortorella coaches a hard-nosed style that I think would pique the interest of some of the old-timers that wanted to stick to the Broad Street Bully era and stuff. I mean, look, yeah, they're not going to be beating the crap out of teams, but you talked about it. Like, in Tort's system, if you're not blocking shots, you're not going to play. You're just not going to play. You're not going to be here very long. He puts an emphasis on defense and blocking shots and putting your body on the line. And that's going to resonate big time with the fan base. I think it already has. You see a lot more buzz in this team this time around as opposed to last year. I mean, people are more engaged. There was an apathy that set in with the fan base last year. Like, people just did not care.
Yeah.
Do you think
it wasn't like they were angry? They genuinely did not care because they didn't believe in the direction of the team.
Now, you know what I hear on some of the hockey podcasts that I hear, Pat? It's because local media didn't even talk about them. They should. That's why the apathy set in.
And I take full responsibility for that.
Yeah, we did. We made that decision. We did.
Everybody knows.
Nobody wanted to talk about a bad product with no hope. No, you don't do that. That is how you will absolutely not be pleasing.
Yeah, look, and to your point, I was here at this station during the process. And while the process, the idea of it was talked about a lot, and the whole who could they get, the actual games, the game by game, blow by blow, loss by loss, yeah, we didn't talk about that. When you brought up the Sixers, it was who's the number one player in the draft, trade deadline, what assets do they have, what moves could they make, cap space. It was everything but the game.
Everything but.
Because the game itself wasn't fun to watch. And then every once in a while you go, oh, by the way, there's this Bob Covington guy who's hitting threes. He's kind of fun to watch a little bit. Maybe we should pay attention to him. Oh, there's a scrappy kid from Duquesne, and TJ McConnell. Maybe we should pay attention to him. But for the most part, the actual games, we didn't break those down because we knew that the games didn't necessarily matter. It got to the point where when they would win a game, we'd get pissed off because it hurt their lottery standing. Like, I remember they started the 1 year off 3-0, and I was like, whoa. Let's pump the brakes, gentlemen. What are we doing here?
I'm just thrilled that it's a product that is now more viable to discuss. Now they're creating a product that is viable to discuss. And I know this is that, and I really do believe it. I think everyone will be. I forget who I was arguing with somebody around here. I think this entire city will get flyered up. Like, especially if the Sixers are in a situation where Embiid's not ready to come back and be a part of it, and the Flyers make the playoffs, I think you will see everybody that ever was a Flyers fan pull out their gear and be like, wow, Flyers are back. And they're into that. I like that. I like
Why?
hearing that.
Yesterday you said that's not a real fan.
No, I like hearing that, though, the excitement level of the city, that it
What?
becomes viable. I don't have to like that fan. But believe me, there's nothing like the just I'm checked out. Oh, I'm back in. They're good. There's nothing to me that drives me crazier. And that is, again, that's a me problem. I think Pat has his me problem. I got my me problem there, too. Nothing worse than the person who totally checks out, has nothing to say about them, doesn't follow games, and then all of a sudden, yeah, I'm back in on the Flyers. Flyers are great. Yeah, it's just not my.
You're going to get driven crazy because there's only 2,000 people, 3,000 people in the arena for the last 4 years.
And look at it now.
Yeah, if they get to the playoffs.
No, but look at it now on game nights.
Yeah.
It's a hopping place, which is great.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't bother me if fans go away because they don't like the product and then come back because they want to come back. I don't care about all that. But, yeah, playoff run. Yeah, so here leads to my next question to you guys. What's the perfect ending for this Flyers season? Now, somebody just said to me, yeah, it's great because they're overachieving. I'm not looking at this as far as, oh, this is great because they have a chance to do this. I'm not. I'm looking at it that this I am like at the foundation. I think this is a fun team. I think that John Tortorella has them playing the right way for this team. I think, yeah, there are guys overachieving, and that's fun to watch. I think there's guys still growing. I think you have to look at some guys and say, yeah, that's a piece for the future. Yeah, that's a piece that you need to sell. But ultimately, end of this season, what is the best thing that could happen for this Philadelphia Flyers team?
They get playoff experience. They don't buy anything, and they deal off to get some more assets to the trade deadline.
Go deeper on playoff experience.
Playoff experience. They go to the playoffs and they just don't wet themselves.
Okay.
Like they go. They could even lose in 4 games if they played let's say they played a Boston, and they play Boston. They could lose in 4 games. But do they play them tough? Do they have 1 game's a blowout and 3 other games where they really hang around and give it a shot? Maybe go to overtime in 1 game. I would really like that. I think it would absolutely be a great building block for this franchise.
Stay the course, make the playoffs, show well, and by staying the course, I mean you're not buying. You're probably selling. And
I want to sell off. I do want them to sell a little at the deadline.
Pat, what do you think? What would be a perfect scenario for this Flyers team moving forward to finish this season?
Perfect scenario would be you get a first-round pick for Scott Walker. You trade Risto for picks.
By the way, that is more than being casually rumored now.
Yeah, everyone's looking for
Walker's. He's older than I thought, right? He's like 29-ish.
I'll tell you, they did a really good job of acquiring guys that they knew would have value come deadline that teams will be looking at. So my thing is, if you can get some trade assets, and I'm talking selling guys that aren't going to be a part of your plan in the next 2 or 3 years, if you can trade those guys off and still make the playoffs, get that valuable experience that John's talking about. And I don't even care if they'd wet themselves or not. Just getting that experience, those younger players feeling the speed of playoff hockey, that's the ideal situation. You overachieved. You got your goal of getting some assets, some draft equity, some prospects, and you made the playoffs. That's like a perfect season for a team that early on in the year didn't really have aspirations of doing much. You were looking to take a step, but that's taken like 5 steps. So, and then from there, you build on it. Maybe you take some of that draft equity and get something at the draft, whether it be trade or you trade up. You use some of that. You can speed up this rebuild pretty quickly.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, they're in that unbelievable situation of they can't lose. Like you can't. They're in a great spot. They can do no wrong. Yeah. Now, I apologize because Haley said on our YouTube page that the Flyers are going deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, okay. I do not think they're going deep.
No.
That's cute. That's adorable.
Yeah.
Hey, the only thing I'll say is last year, the team that snuck in won the conference, and with 92 points.
Yeah, like I said, this is a Flyers team now that we've seen in every sport. That if they make the playoffs, going to the playoffs, a lot of people are going to put that label on them. That's just a team you really don't want to have to play 4 times in a row at least. I really do. And it's the ultimate compliment, especially for where this organization is right now. Now, moving forward, man, Danny Briere, John Tortorella's done his job.
He has.
And is doing his job. Moving forward, that little pressure meter, while it was probably in between both of them, where you have coach here and general manager and player ops there, that needle is now going towards, and they probably love it, Danny Briere and Keith Jones. Torts can look at him, and Tortorella can look at him and say, yep, your turn. Your turn. Go ahead.
I'm doing my
Move's
part.
on you. Yeah, so I'm fascinated with this, how this is going to go. And I'll tell you, playoff hockey back in this
So
city,
much fun.
I love playoff hockey.
9 o'clock hour is brought to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. And for details, go to bagster.com. All right, let's get down to it. There was a big win last night for your 76ers. Huge win that they needed badly. But what did we learn about this newly constructed roster? We'll get to it next. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Up. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
What a winter wonderland it is out there. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic. It looks gorgeous outside. I love snow, though. Enjoy snow. Enjoy, I will look forward to a little bit of shoveling. Not a lot of shoveling, but a little bit of shoveling. Love to shovel the driveway.
Yeah?
For whatever reason, the driveway's wet. Always enjoyed shoveling.
Hey, man, we all have our kinks.
We were, Pat, we would make a fortune shoveling as kids.
It depended. Depended on what mood I was in. But yes, you'd always clean up.
I had the shoveling syndicate on South Malin Road during snowstorms from the time I was probably in 6th grade through high school, where it was I had set houses that I had already arranged with, and if it was a snowy winter, I was rolling in the cash. And my neighbors were very generous. We would have like 7, 8 houses minimum already on that were secured, and then pick up 2 or 3 more. And so I take on, hey, who wants to help?
Yeah.
Then I get somebody to help that I'd give some of the money to. That was my thing. You mowed lawns. I loved shoveling snow. Loved it.
I didn't mind shoveling snow. It's just I had basketball season during the winter, so a lot of times in high school, we always had practice or games,
Sure.
so I couldn't go out and do other people's stuff. But when we got in our young 20s and I was done playing basketball and stuff, me and one of my friends, Tom, he would come over and we would drive around my neighborhood just to get enough to, get beer money.
Some beer money.
And then we'd go over to another friend of ours' house and sit there and drink the beer that we got for our shoveling prowess.
There is a little bit of warning to you again, and I think last week somebody took offense to this. They have Cecily Tynan said, "Snow. This is heart attack snow. So be careful. This is the kind of snow that the emergency rooms get overrun with people shoveling because it is the wet, heavy snow.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful. Be careful out there if you were going to be shoveling snow.
Pay the
today.
kids.
Exactly. Pay kids.
If you're not sure, pay the kids.
Hey, the kids will love it.
And if you can't afford to pay the kids, just ask John to float you the money. He'll do it.
I'll do it for you. A few things today put a smile on your face. There are many reasons for optimism. I'll share them after we discuss last night's Sixers victory in Cleveland, where Cleveland has been rampaging over the entire NBA and looking like that team that is ready, knocking on the door, ready to make some noise, staying ahead of New York in that 2 seed and Milwaukee for that 2 seed. I'm saying right now, Bob, this is that last night was not only I think a great victory considering what they were dealing with, but a surprising victory. The way they managed to pull that off.
Yeah, very surprising. And I just love the effort. I love that they thought they could win that game. I love that they had some, close moments where it could have gone either way and they didn't give up on the thought of getting. I love that they had 30 points off the bench on a bench that is very, very shorthanded because most of your bench players are starting. You needed it, too. You needed that boost. Buddy Hield needed to feel, with the Sixers organization, a very good win. I did. I really, really liked that win last night. I just wish this team would get healthy. And it sounds like a stupid, but why is it every night we're seeing something now? And I know that the DeAnthony Melton and Nick Batum, I know those are like kind of longer-term injuries. But like every night, it's a Tobias Harris here, a Mo Bamba there, whatever. Like, come on, get healthy, because you have to stay above water while Joel Embiid's out, and maybe that's for the rest of the year, and maybe that's why they don't mind guys missing games. But I would just like to see everybody get healthy and see what you have, and then wonder if it's good enough if Embiid gets back.
The idea, Pat, that this team, after the trade deadline, the players that they had that they sent away, the players that are now getting contributions that they went and got.
Yep.
It's better, right? It's an upgrade, right?
I think that it's too early to tell. We'll find out. I mean, we're talking about a team that was struggling deep in February, and they've got a couple of killer tests coming up. So, look, if they can even win 2 more games in February, I'll be impressed because they just have that much of a murderer's row on their schedule for the rest of the month. I didn't think they would win another game in February after they beat the Wizards. And, they surprised me last night, and that's a really good win because at this point, because of how banged up you are, any win is going to look like a good win. Heat on Wednesday, okay, that's beatable. But then you've got Knicks, Cavs, Bucks.
They're at home
Celtics.
at least. Those 3 are at home, and then the Celtics is on the road.
Yeah, but home road, it's a tough matchup. And I think at the end of the month we'll have a good idea whether the additions are upgrades or not. Like this team hasn't gotten Kyle Lowry yet. A little surprised that deal hasn't been announced yet.
It can until today.
Okay.
He has to go through waivers until this afternoon today, and then they can do it.
Why we call you Bobby Basketball.
See?
But yeah, we'll find out. If Kyle Lowry can come in here and give you the minutes that Daryl Morey expected you to give, or expected him to give, when we talked to him yesterday, then yeah, maybe it is a big upgrade, and maybe I was too chicken little with skies falling, but I just think it's too early to tell right now.
Oh,
okay.
no question, and we can't go crazy over one game, but that just is a good win. And you had a starting group again, odd one last night. I think wasn't Council was in the starting lineup, but the starting 5 last night shot 39 for 63. That's good to see. Like, that's really, really good to see.
Was it shot selection, or is it that the shooters are that much better?
I think it was Buddy Hield's a better shooter than they've had, so yes, there. But they also moved the ball well.
They got great looks last night.
There was still some like stupidity that's going to – I don't want to get into that. Like, there was some questionable shot taking, I'll say that, but it lucked out. And they were up like 7 at one point with about – I want to say 2 minutes to go in the game, something. And Oubre came down
and
right away.
That was the fast possession.
And jacked a 3.
Right.
And it went in. Thankfully, it went in. But I was like, if I'm Nick Nurse, I'm pulling him aside. And I'm like, dude, no. But, I love the fact that a lineup that isn't used to playing together shoots that well because there was a lot of movement. They looked for each other. Buddy Hield distributes the ball well also. Which is going to be a good thing should Joel Embiid come back. So, that was a very, very nice win last night. You want to see more of those types of efforts with the teams you have coming up.
I'm excited. I'm excited just to see how they tried to keep this afloat. And to me, afloat means out of the play-in tournament. That's what I'm considering. You're going to have to, right now, you have to find a way to stay ahead of Orlando and Indy. Those are the Indiana and Orlando. One of those teams can pass you, but not both. And I think they can. I really do think even in this time without Embiid that they can do that.
Yeah, and I think some of that will fall, especially Orlando's side. That's a young team. I think they'll start to come back to earth, and they have. They had a really hot beginning, but they've come back to earth. They'll be what they are. So yeah, that's a team you really want to watch. Indianapolis. For the moves that they made, they're struggling a little bit with injuries and all of that stuff. But they're dangerous. They can score. They can certainly score. But they also allow teams to score on them pretty easily, too. So, yeah, you got to, as we said, keep your head above water. Stay at that, 50-win pace if you can and see where that takes you. And then, again, all falls under the umbrella of what happens with the big guy.
You okay, Pat, with the roster construction, though, right now? Because some of the moves at the deadline you had some thoughts on.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to get my mind around it, but not really. I mean, they still need a big man, and they can get that in the veteran buyout market, maybe.
They know?
A guy, Andre Drummond could get bought out tomorrow. We don't know.
Is it going to tell us about Doc Rivers? If Nick Nurse can go out there in the veteran buyout market and all of a sudden you got veterans wanting to come here, does that tell us something about Doc Rivers?
I think possibly, but I think what Daryl Morey said yesterday is the big reason. When you're a vet and you're looking for a spot, you're looking for either a spot that you can win a championship on or a spot that you can get a lot of minutes to earn a contract for next season. And right now, with Joel Embiid being out, if you're a center on the veteran buyout market, this is going to be a very enticing place because you can just slip into the starting lineup and probably get 30 minutes a night. Whereas in previous years, you weren't really getting that. So in that point, you had to just view the Sixers as a title contender. And a lot of people just didn't. And then you had other situations like when Miami gets involved with a player, Some players just want to go to Miami because it's Miami. Some players want to go to Miami because it's the heat way. The Spoelstra angle, the Pat Riley angle, you combine all of it. It doesn't matter what seeding they are. Miami, New York, L.A., those are three teams that seem to be like, they don't matter when it comes to the whole notion of minutes versus playoff seeding and all that, because they'll just attract talent no matter what. The Sixers are different, though. They fall into you need to have an open spot, or you need to have a title aspirations and title, like realistic title aspirations. I don't think last year they had that. And right now, I still don't think they have that. But they do have a starting spot.
Somebody had, it might have been one of our YouTubers last week or something, but somebody made or a friend, made the point of, isn't it crazy the Sixers are looking for a big man at the trade deadline when they had like 5 centers at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, they did.
Remember that? It was like, my God, how many centers can this team carry? And now you're down to Mo Bamba and Paul Reed. I had a subject last week, John, that I had on our sheet, and you were about to bring it up when we went to break, and I said to you, no, don't do it, because does. I said, hold that thought. I'll bring it up now. I think Mo Bamba should be playing more than Paul Reed. Or at least get the look by the coaching staff. Now, this was when Embiid was healthy. I was thinking I'd rather have Mo Bamba be that guy replacing Joel Embiid for the 12, 15 minutes a game to get a look at that. We know what Paul Reed is, as opposed to that. Now, you're getting more of a look of Mo Bamba now. Maybe you're not going to have time to do it this year, but maybe there's a chance that Bamba would have backed up Embiid, and you still could have gotten Paul Reed on the floor somehow. I said to you guys before the year started, I thought maybe you could put him at 4 and pair him with Embiid at times. But yeah, I think Mo Bamba should probably be a situational backup with Paul Reed.
Did the investment they made in Paul Reed in his contract, do you think that dictates it? I know in other sports it does dictate who plays, who doesn't, who gets the bigger look. Could that have anything to do with it?
I don't think so. What is it with his contract? Is if they,
I think they
if
can
they
get out
win
of it
a
this year if they want to.
If they lose in the first round, I think they have no obligation to him. I think it's something like if they win in the first round,
he
gets a partially guaranteed contract. I'd have to look that up. I know I did read it before, but I forget the exactness of it. I don't think Paul Reed's worth that much that you're saying. Nothing against Paul Reed.
No, I got
but
you.
I don't think it's worth as much as I change my kind of rotation because of his contractual situation. So I would just, it's all weirded out now because of this Embiid thing. But at the time when he was healthy, my thought was, you know what? I'd like to see what Mo Bamba could give you in those minutes that Paul Reed's getting. So
I
it's
can
a moot
understand.
point now, but I just wanted to let you know what I was thinking.
Right?
Yeah.
As far as how that comes together there. The one thing it is that I was watching a little bit of the Super Bowl, like after shows yesterday, and I know, Bob, you were talking about the idea that you were looking at it more from an Eagles perspective, watching that game, and then deciding from an Eagles perspective, what are you seeing? I mean, I got to tell you this: as I watched those two offenses on Sunday night get stifled by really superior defenses, I wondered to myself, how far were the Eagles defensively from both of those clubs?
So you look at those guys, and you have to come away from saying to yourself or others, man, the Eagles could really use that. Now, you don't have to say a specific player or whatever, but when you looked at what San Francisco did defensively for most of that game, and when you look at what Kansas City did, not only in that game, but, God, their whole playoff run, they played really good football on the defensive side of the ball. What do you say? Man, the Eagles could really use
the young secondary plan that they put in place.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
That's what
Kansas City put in place.
They went and they've won 2 Super Bowls while completely revamping the back end of their defense, getting more athletic, and getting hitters too, getting guys who can lay you out.
Tacklers.
Yes, and tacklers.
I mean, they tackle,
and they did it. And a lot of credit again goes to Spags. Spags is now, what's that, 4 rings for him now as a defensive coordinator?
Oh man,
I think it's 4.
Did he win one as a? He didn't. Did he win one as a head coach?
No.
2 with the Giants.
2 with the Giants.
2 with the Giants. 2 with the Chiefs.
He has at least
it's either 4 or 5.
Or has 2 with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's congratulations. But I love the fact is that's what the Eagles could do. Take a look at the young secondary of the Chiefs. I want that.
Yeah.
I want hitters. And they have some guys that they think can fit that mold, but I'm going to need one more. I'm going to need at least one more, and I want a physical corner. Physical corner.
Yeah, that's good. Pat, anything that you came away from the two teams saying, man, the Eagles really, and we're talking defensive side of the ball, Eagles really need that.
I mean, Trent McDuffie looked really good.
He's
a stud. Finding a Trent McDuffie can be tough, but it can be done. He stood out in the game. The edge rushers, though, of Kansas City, Mike Danek, Carl Loftus, Jones. The Eagles don't have that. I did sit there though.
And Carl Loftus went what? Pick 31?
I thought he went second round, but he might be. He might be a late first. But I sat there. I must admit, watching the game and going, if only the Eagles could have had this field last year, because they were able to get to the quarterback. But
no, they were.
The pass rush of the Chiefs, and by the way, add the pass rush of the 49ers. Because they were making life a living hell for Patrick Mahomes early in that game.
Yeah, Bosa's not too bad.
Yeah, he's really good.
What's more critical though, Pat? I mean, if from Bob's question, if you had to choose the one that you think could potentially be more impactful, what is it?
I go with pass rush, but
is that just your bias because you love it?
Very much.
Because that is you.
Very, very much. Yeah, and the pass rush was noticeably bad this year because of what we saw the previous year. But, I mean, I don't think it's amazing to me that we all agree that linebacker is hard on this team.
See, that's mine.
And they have Fred Warner and Greenlaw. Yeah, so it's like we literally, I mean, I hit pass rush. John, you hit secondary, and now Bob, you hit linebacker. We hit
linebacker. Yeah, I did.
But it shows you it's a trifecta of this team needs a lot more.
Oh my God, their defense. We'll do this at later times, probably when it gets closer to training camp and all. But like, how many starters are back on that defense? And if you only have a few, I'm okay with that because that's how bad it was. But
you wish they had the Sixers roster.
Yeah, but I did. I looked at, and it was such a shame how Greenlaw got hurt. I hate to see that. None of us likes it, obviously, but. The guy's just hopping up and down to make sure he's ready to go. Goes to, push off on his left leg to get out on the field, and boom, there goes his Achilles. But when he's playing well and when Warner's playing well, man, those guys are everywhere. Like, there's not a tackle made unless the ball's thrown 30 yards downfield that they're not around. Like, they're there all the time. Or they're filling gaps. Or they're making runners, looking like they're going to hit a gap, having to go outside, and then their DNs pick it up. Like, they're just playmakers. And, man, you guys know I love middle linebacker playmakers. And I just want to see some playmaking from linebackers from the Eagles this year.
It's one thing that I've learned about Howie Roseman, though, Bob, and I think it's going to be, is that unlike Rob Thompson, and maybe Rob will surprise us. You were telling us, maybe surprise. Howie Roseman has numerous times in his career learned a lesson and corrected it. I think this might be the time. This might be the time that he's been beaten over the head enough that he bangs his head and says to the scouts, to Mr. Laurie, to everything, organizational philosophy on defense has to change. And the hiring of Vic Fangio tells me that's a major part of it.
I would love to agree with you on that. The fact that he went out of his way, unprompted, to talk about the great linebacker play that this team has had and their ability to identify diamonds in the rough and go to the Super Bowl tells me that he will not be changing his ways. That he believes, much like he believed in his talent evaluation when he took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, he believes that he'll be able to find another, T.J. Edwards. And I don't really have that faith.
Vic Fangio, though, Pat, they brought Vic Fangio in. Vic Fangio literally told Mike McDaniel, don't be coming into my meeting room in the middle of my meetings. This man don't mess around. He's hired for a job. He's asked to do the job. I can't imagine that he would come somewhere without some assurances that they're going to address linebackers because he values linebackers.
Yeah.
That he wouldn't go, why would he come here?
Because he wanted to be here. And everybody knew it. I mean, his family's
so he's
from here. He's old. Yeah.
So my philosophy that now has spawned one of the greatest trees right now as far as people using my philosophy in defensive coordinators, I'm going to come to Philly and I'm not going to execute the defense that I've always wanted.
Everybody knew he wanted to come here, so I don't think he's dying on the hill of, damn it, I need linebackers. And you know what, John? I hope you're right.
Oh, I know.
I hope he is.
I hope I'm right.
But what's more likely? The fact that they're gonna crumble to a defensive coordinator, or the fact that they're going to be doing what they've been doing for 40 years and ignoring the position and hoping to God they do hit on a diamond in the rough?
Remember, he was not getting fired in Miami. He had a job.
Yeah, but why
he had a
why
job
were they willing to move on from him?
because he wanted to leave. They knew he wanted to leave. So if someone doesn't, Pat, if someone doesn't want to be there, go. Get out.
If they're that good, you keep them until their contract's up.
But he wasn't
Please
going to
stay.
He wasn't going. He didn't want him to leave. He was at, like, say, he told them, look, I have an opportunity. I want to leave. I want to get out of here.
All right, so let's take a look at.
So I mean, I think that the Eagles had to give him. I think the Eagles had to give him some sort of assurances that he's going to have the pieces that he wants to have.
I hope you're right, but if Andy Reid walks into the GM's office tomorrow and says, "I want to leave and I have an opportunity to go to Seattle," I don't think Kansas City's going, okay, no problem.
Well, Andy's the head coach too.
But like, okay, take the greatest coordinator, take whatever, and it's a lateral move to a coordinator spot. I mean, look, I hope you're right. I've been begging for them to prioritize linebackers. I mean, since I came out the womb, it seemed like, but they just don't do it. They're gonna find some dude who was playing flag football in the fan choosing league, where the fans choose the plays, and they're gonna go, well, look, he had a lot of tackles there. I think he can be a player.
First of all, I hope you're wrong. I hope I'm right, but guess what? I'd love to be right. I'm not overly confident, but I am confident. I am confident in one thing. There's no way that I would consider that he'd say that Vic Fangio's coming here and going, oh, no, Howie, but I'm fine. You get me whatever kind of players you want, I'll make it work. I don't believe it at all.
Well, but Vic Fangio might look at it like, I can make do with what you get me. I can get the most out of a Nakobe Dean, who the book is still yet to be written because he barely played. He was so injured last year. Yeah. Now, when he did play, he wasn't great, but he was so, he'd come back for a game or two, and then he'd get injured again. He'd come back for a game or two. So it might be a situation. Like, I don't think Vic Fangio's rolling into Howie Roseman's office and saying, give me Patrick Queen. And if he does, I think Howie Roseman's going, yeah, there's a bit more that needs to be addressed.
I don't know.
I think Fangio has the reputation, Pat, to be exactly that guy.
From your mic to to Howie Roseman and Vic Fangio's radios.
Yeah, he might come in here and go right to Jeffrey Lurie and say, like, look, what's the deal here with linebackers? I've kind of studied your history here, and it ain't a good one. Like, I need some linebacker play here. Or he could come in and look at this roster and go, hey, guys, that ain't it.
Remember Andrew Pacheco said to us on First Friday, he believed that the owner gave assurances. That there were, he goes, I'm sure Vic Fangio got assurances from Jeffrey Lurie that they would address certain things that he wanted. The Fangio thing is that he's not not that he's not a team player, but he's not a guy who's known as being, I'm going to be quiet. I'm gonna mind my place here. I'm just the DC. He's gonna let known what he wants.
Yeah, let's not overthink this. I'm sure he went in, looked at Tay, whatever, and has gone to Howie and said, "We need this," and goes, boom,
"Let me
boom,
show
boom,
you. Let
boom,
me show
boom,
you
boom,
why." Yes,
boom. And I don't think he has it anymore. He shouldn't be a starter. He's Nakobe Dean. Please don't try to sell me on him until I see him play.
Right.
I think Vic Fangio probably has enough that he can talk to Lurie and to Howie and say stuff like that.
And that would make Pat very happy. That would make him a very
competent linebackers are fun to watch. They really are. Those ones that can cover and tackle.
All right, let's close with this. What's more likely? Rob Thompson moving Schwarber out of the leadoff spot and not pulling his pitchers too quickly, or the Eagles changing philosophy as an organization about linebackers? What's more likely?
Eagles.
I agree. Captain Hook is going to be Captain Hook. And I believe that is.
Probably, but that's all of baseball, so that's why I'd go with that. Yeah, I mean, all of baseball is hooky right now. They're a bunch of hookers in baseball.
I'm sorry, what, sir?
Yeah.
They're a bunch of
what? That's pretty.
Not the streetwalker variety is what you're saying.
Not the women in the night.
No, walking to the mound.
You all right, Bobby?
He's calling them hookers. He's calling them hookers. I mean, what's more likely, though?
Yeah, that.
That is. The Eagles changing their philosophy than Rob Thompson changing his. I really do. I just don't see it.
Well, and the reason I think a big reason why is because Rob Thompson's had 2 years now of success doing what he's done. And while it hasn't culminated in a championship, I think any organization would say they've been very successful under Thompson. The Eagles, I mean, I know that Howie Roseman loves giving the resume of 3 Super Bowls or whatever in 6 years,
Yes.
but the linebacker play has not been good.
Nope.
And they have. He's right. They have hit before. But I'd say their hits are maybe by accident, you know? It's they haven't drafted and developed a competent linebacker in quite some time.
I hope you get your wish, Pat.
I would
Hope you
love
do.
that.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, David Auto Group. That David Kelleher, he was at the Super Bowl the other night with his son. Make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. Do it today at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. Be careful on the roadways. Keep us company all day long. Andrew and Ray will take you through middays and then the best show ever. Have a great Tuesday.